Wow, we got big production here, Victor, don't we?
That's right.
Welcome, everybody, to In the Circle Live. It's our season preview. How many years have we doing this now as far as
This
the
is
live season
our
preview?
7th official season preview extravaganza. So 6th season preview extravaganza.
That's a lot. I'm Eric Lopez alongside Victor Anderson, of course, In the Circle podcast. 10 years. In fact, just celebrated the 10-year anniversary a week ago. So we're on 10 years, over 1,000 episodes on the podcast. There will be a regular podcast on Monday, which will tell you a lot about. Coming up, Victor, tell the audience what we got coming up on this show because we're packed.
Well, we got a lot to unpack on tonight's show. We're gonna hear from our own Jenna Becerra from D1 Softball. We're gonna hear from Justin McLeod from D1 Softball. We gotta get our first guest ready to rock and roll. Want to remind everybody coming up, we got our season preview extravaganza tonight. We got our season preview mega episode tomorrow. So make sure you listen to all of our platforms. Make sure you check that out. Also, don't forget D1Softball.com. Promo code season26, 25% off all subscriptions, monthly and annual. Over 100 fall reports, conference outlooks, top 100 mid-range, top 100 playlists, you name it, we got it here on D1 Softball.
Every conference preview, every Power 4 preview. No other entity can say that except D1Softball.com. And, of course, In the Circle podcast. We've had tons of guests. We just finished off Big 12 Media Week. We've talked to SEC coaches, talked to ACC coaches, Big 12 Media Week. We talked to every head coach and players from Big 12 Media Week. You can check it out on our podcast feed, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And, of course, on this YouTube channel, a lot of our interviews. Did I mention Big 12, Victor?
As a matter of fact, you did. And there was only somebody who we knew who knows a thing or two about covering the Big 12 and playing the Big 12. Oh, wait, we do, Mr. Lopez. Would you do the honors, please, sir?
She is known as one of the great trash talkers in softball, ladies and gentlemen. Former Iowa State Cyclone great. Of course, I've teamed with her in the past on 1012 Network. Leah Nelson joining us here. Hello.
Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
I'm doing good. Now, I have to tell Victor, this is my paying off my debt to you, Leah.
Okay.
Because a year ago, Victor, we had a friendly trash talk session between her beloved Cyclones and my Knights, of course. In the series, if you recall, Vic, Iowa State won the series in 3 games. They won all 3. I'll just leave it as that. Thankfully, I'm good friends with Pink and company. So I have owed her a visit to In the Circle. Now, Leah Nelson is a super busy young lady, ladies and gentlemen. She's covering tons of pregame shows for Iowa State with all the success, men's basketball, women's basketball. How many shows you're hosting Iowa State-wise?
Oh, well, just some football and then women's basketball, which has been really fun. I'm deep in Big 12 Cyclone basketball right now, so it's fun to kind of switch gears and do some softball.
Amen. That's your bread and butter right there. So this is my debt. A little later than planned, but here you are, and I'm happy to hear you because we'll have you on throughout the season at times to talk Big 12. And I want to ask you, what are you looking forward to the most in the Big 12 this year?
I think the Big 12 just shocks me every single year. I'm excited to see us be a little surprised. I feel like we always see, the teams that are first and second, the preseason polls, usually turn out to be first and second, but it's that middle of the pack that just is crazy. I know we'll get into Iowa State a little bit, but having them be ranked 7th and then I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them 3rd or 4th like they were last year. So I'm just excited to see some surprising upsets throughout the year.
The big story in Big 12 is Texas Tech, of course, in the national landscape. We know about Nyjah Kennedy. They added a lot of players this offseason, which certainly was a polarizing reaction throughout the sport. Leah, what's your reaction to Texas Tech 2026? Because there's going to be a microscope, I think, on Texas Tech this year.
I mean, Texas Tech is killing the NIL game. It's not surprising to anyone. And with how softball is going, you gotta get into the transfer portal, and they did just that. And I'm excited to see how they're going to do. I mean, I think it was surprising to everyone last year how well they did and how far they got. And now that they have this loaded roster of players, I think it's going to be so incredible. And I'm just excited to see what they do. And I hope they can come out on the very, very tippy top this year.
Does that put a little extra pressure on Texas Tech, given how close they got last year? And then they add all of these pieces. It almost feels like championship or bust in year 2 for Glasgow and Kennedy, given all the resources that have been implemented into this program.
That's a great point. I think last year there was no pressure. I mean, obviously they have the best pitcher across all of college softball, but there was no pressure. People didn't really know how they were going to do in the Big 12, let alone in regionals and the World Series. But now you look at their lineup and you see all these incredible players that have transferred in, and you kind of think, wow, the target's on their back now. Everyone wants to beat Texas Tech, not just in the Big 12, again, across all of Division I softball. So yeah, great point, Victor. I think there is going to be some pressure, but these players are elite. Nyjah Kennedy's elite. She knows how to play under pressure. And so I think they're going to still compete and do really well.
And on that point, I think Texas Tech fans, they understand that they have a lot of new players. So we have to give them some leeway, even though we have the expectations, because this is really the first time they're going to actually playing in a real game situation together. I know we got fall ball and all that in those inter-squad scrimmages, but playing against a team on the other side of the diamond where the games actually count is a whole different animal. So I think we need to get the fans and give this team a little bit of leeway, because they're still all learning how to gel together in critical situations.
I agree. There's a lot of girls on the field. There's a lot of girls on a team. And when you kind of add people that haven't been on your team before, every culture is different on every program. And so you're going to, Coach Glasgow probably runs things a little different than people are used to in different programs. And so you have to kind of gel with the girls and figure things out and be able to make adjustments and maybe play a position you're not really used to. And you got to put like your own feelings aside for the team. So I agree, give them a little leeway, but I think they'll be able to make some adjustments quick.
Let's talk about the rest of the Big 12 here. Oklahoma State, you and I have a mutual friend, Mr. Phillip. Shout out, Phillip.
Shout out,
Phillip.
Big Oklahoma State fan. I feel at times we were therapists to him last season.
Yes.
He talked about Oklahoma State
due
to their season, which by their standards was disappointing. They got to the regional final in Fayetteville, did not get to the World Series that snapped their streak of 5 straight World Series. I spoke to Kenny Gajewski on this podcast. He said it was a disappointment. He think the biggest mistake he did was by pretty much crowning his team last year. He said it was the most talented team he had last year, when they haven't really accomplished anything. So they've been much more back to the roots, humble a bit. What's your thoughts on Gajewski and the Cowgirls this year?
Yeah, so I was listening to your guys' interview, which you guys did an incredible job covering all of the teams. Awesome interviews. But something that kind of stuck out is Coach Gajewski said he got a little soft this past year, which is, he mentioned it goes down to the color of the socks, which seems a little crazy, but when you start letting those little things slip, other things start to slip during the game. And so he thinks he's going to get a little tougher on these girls. And I think that's scary, but in a good way. Like, it's scary for the other teams, because when you start to get those little things in order and in line, I think this program is going to be really well. They've got Ruby Malin back, Rosie Davis, who I absolutely love. I think she's so fun to watch. So I think they're going to be just as good as what other people think they are, if not better.
I think, Leah, the big thing you referenced is that when you let those little things slip by the wayside, those things pop up in the game. And those little things add up, and that's how you end up in a season like Oklahoma State had. So this is a scary situation where if you have a refocused Oklahoma State squad with Coach Gajewski, they can make it back to Oklahoma City if they return back to that form they had that made it to Oklahoma City the previous 5 years before last year.
Yeah, they're a competitive group, and when they kind of get everything situated, they're going to be scary. And they're used to, being in the Big 12 tournament and, competing. They're used to being in the World Series. And so I think they are just crawling, like wanting to figure things out, get situated so that they can be like the team that Oklahoma State is used to being.
Riley Crandall, I think, is the wild card there. She was hurt most of last year, really didn't get a lot of production quality innings outside of Ruby Malin last season. I think that's a factor there. And then, does Carly Godwin bounce back?
Mm-hmm.
She had a nice year, but not the year she had in her freshman year, among other players. I think Oklahoma State will. I'm really intrigued. They're going to open up in Palo Alto. Our next guest, we're going to talk a lot about that matchup later on in this program. Let me ask you about the Arizona schools.
Mm-hmm.
Both tied for third in the preseason poll. Both, a lot of new faces. Arizona's a 50-50 new roster, basically. Talked to Caitlin Lowe about that. Arizona State has Mackenzie Brown back. They just added John Barfeld to the pitching coach staff. What's your thoughts on the state of Arizona here?
I'm really excited about Arizona. I think they fell a little short, and it surprised me last year. I thought they were going to be a little bit better than they were, but they've got some great leadership and great girls. I mean, Reagan Shockey, she is one of my favorite, as like a former outfielder, she is one of my favorite players to watch. And coach said that she brings a lot of leadership too. But then obviously you got Serenity Trice coming in there, so there's some Iowa State.
You know her a little bit? You know her a little bit.
Yeah. And so she's a great player. And obviously when you're once a Cyclone, you're always a Cyclone. So I'm always going to root for her. And I mean, Angelina Allen's on staff now, like helping out a little bit. So it's just crazy. The pipeline from Iowa State to Arizona is insane, but I'm excited. They've got some really great players, and that coaching staff over at Arizona is incredible. And so I think that they were a little disappointed with how last year went. And so we're going to see some more fight. They've got a crazy schedule. I mean, starting off with Oklahoma in the first weekend, which I think if you're going to do it, do it. Like, your Big 12 is tough. Division I softball is tough. You've got to get ready, so might as well do it early on in the season. And then Arizona State, obviously, Kinsey Brown. And I'm super excited because I don't think we've seen the best of Kinsey Brown. Even Coach Bartlett said Kinsey Brown's ready. She's excited. She doesn't feel like she's got this pressure and this, injury lingering. So I think, Arizona State's going to be a tough one as well.
Okay, Eric, let's think about this. Kinsey Brown was top 7 in the nation in strikeouts. With a nagging injury, she's going to be healthier this year, and she just added one of the premier pitching coaches in John Barfeld.
Yeah, it's scary.
All I'm saying is that she is going to be right there with Ruby Malin competing with Nyjah Kennedy for Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. That's the big three, and then everyone else is like a clear second tier. Those are the big three for me in the Big 12.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
No, go ahead, Leah.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if the conversation is more Nyjah and Kinsey Brown. I mean, I love Ruby. She's incredible, but I think I do not think we've seen the best of Kinsey Brown yet.
Bold. That was certainly Arizona State with Megan Bartlett company there. In Arizona, of course, Jalen Adams comes over from Iowa. Victor, you covered Jalen Adams at Iowa. I think that's the key question there. From their pitching side, they still got obviously Jenna Sniffen back. You got Shockey back. They did, I think they're going to score runs. They added Grace Jenkins, who's going to play right field. That's going to be interesting. Trice, Trice. What does she add to that team?
Just the willingness to be vulnerable and learn. Like, she does not care if she makes a mistake, but she just is a sponge. She wants to absorb everything. So I know that she's going to just be the best player that she can be. And she is she made such a difference on Iowa State as a freshman, which I think is so difficult to do. Coming in to a program, you're young, you're 17, 18, it's all new experiences, and then to be able to compete at a high level in the Big 12 is incredible. So I think she's just going to bring just willingness to learn, excitement, and just like some leadership to Arizona as well.
All right, we've made Leah wait long enough, Victor. We need to ask her about her Cyclones. Victor, go. You have the honors.
So another top 4 finish for Iowa State and Coach Pinkerton in 2025. And what surprises me is that if they didn't have that tough start to the season, granted that they didn't play at home until almost mid-March, they could have made a tournament.
Right, how do you people deal with this weather? Like, me and Victor are doing it's 29 degrees over here. Like, what do you guys? How do you guys do this?
It was negative 13 for a while these past couple of weeks. It gets to the point where you can't even tell. It all feels the same.
I'm gonna need to wear a jacket and gloves just hearing that temperature. Back to the question back to our regularly scheduled softball show. Another top 4 finish for Iowa State last year. They bring a lot of their returners back. They actually get to play some games in the state of Iowa to start off in February. How important will it be for Coach Pinkerton to get off to a much better start to avoid climbing out of a deep hole like he almost did last year and make it into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, it takes away the pressure if they just start a little bit more hot. It's frustrating because if you look back at last season, like, man, they were so close. It was within inches, I feel like, of them making postseason, and they want it so bad. They want to go back so badly. But yeah, it's that beginning of the year hump, and I think you nailed it on the head of it's cold. Like, Iowa's the most northern school in the Big 12, and you've got to practice inside. Like, there's no way you're practicing outside when it's negative 13 degrees. Like, that's crazy. It's impossible. And so you have to, do an indoor facility. You have to work with the football team, the soccer team, the golf team. You've got some weird scheduling. You're working on turf. You just want to see sunlight and you want to play on dirt. That's all these girls want. And so you mentioned that they're playing in Iowa first weekend. And amazing in the sense of they've only got to go an hour or two. But it's tough because it doesn't showcase opening season or opening weekend like you want it to. You're still playing in an indoor facility. You're playing teams that you've played a lot before. It's hard to get this kind of excitement into it. And so it makes me nervous because they have to start better than they did last year. But I think with the team that they have and what they know that they need to do to get to postseason, I think they're going to be able to do it.
Well, they got 2 tough games against Omaha to start off the season with Maddie Agrov, and Omaha knows a thing or two about knocking off P4 opponents. They almost did it and made it to super regionals a couple last year. So looking forward to seeing what they could do against Iowa State. Ms. Lopez.
Yeah, how do you feel about their pitching? Because last year Iowa State had one of the best offenses in program history. Mm-hmm. I know they lose Angelina Allen, who's a great big loss. But that's something that you guys are accustomed to. You got Jesse Clemens back, who to me could be the face of this program and is going to play the outfield, can play short, can name it. There's other pieces I know Pink likes, but my question is the pitching, because you and I have talked about this. They went by committee last year. Yeah. Is it good enough to get him to that regional, get off to that good start? And they have talked about it. They have focus. They understand. Based on last year, the first month cost them the tournament. This was an NCAA tournament team from March on to May. Mm-hmm. It was the month of February that kept them out. Yeah. And they have emphasized that. What do you think about their pitching staff? Is it good enough?
Yeah, the hard thing is I'm just not quite sure. I think they've got some veteran girls and Lauren Skirman who can do some really great things for Iowa State. And I know they've got some fresh faces, and Coach Pink knew that's what they needed in the offseason, is they needed to get some more girls, some more people on the pitching staff. And Coach Kate does such a nice job, the pitching coach over at Iowa State. But I'm just not sure. College softball is so hard. People make adjustments so quickly. You need a deep bullpen. And so I think Iowa State was able to do that with bringing in these new faces. But it'll be interesting. I think that's kind of the question that will be up is does Iowa State have a good enough bullpen to kind of get them to regional? So I'm excited to see.
I think 3-8 in the conference is fascinating. We'll let you go on this. Who's your sleeper team in the Big 12 that you're intrigued by? You can't say Iowa State. Sorry, that's already out there. We already talked about them.
I know.
And then, how many teams make the tournament in the Big 12? That's
oh my gosh, all of them.
I know they feel likely. By the way, only the 8 make the Big 12 tournament this year.
Yeah, I know. So all 8. Can I say that?
I mean, you can go what you want.
Sleeper team, I have to go with BYU. I think they are always one of those teams that are a little bit on the edge. They've got some great girls. They're just a strong offensive team. They've got the freshman player of the year for the Big 12 coming back in Birmingham. And I heard she's got the same nickname as you, Eric. So
Elo, yeah. I don't know why, even though we have spell it differently. Hey, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too. So yeah, BYU is definitely my sleeper team. I love watching them. Their offensive is just crazy. So I'm excited to watch them. As for how many teams make it into postseason, oh man, I'm gonna have to go with 5. Does that seem crazy?
That's what they had last year. I think it was 5.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, and then it gets kind of into that funky little middle section that we're not sure. With teams being so young, it's kind of tough. But I think Iowa State might be that last team in there.
You're a little conservative on that number. See,
I know. Well, last year I think I said 8, and then everyone was like, "You're a psycho," and then not many people made it. So
you should have just said you're a cyclone, not a psycho.
Yes, I love that.
Look, but I think the Big 12. That's the thing. If Arizona State is as you mentioned with Kenzie Brown, they could be a tournament team. Arizona, I think, is a tournament team. I think UCF's a team nobody talks about.
I know.
A lot of talent coming back. Isabella Vega is back. They got a lot of depth arms wise. I think they're a tournament type team. I agree with you, BYU. Gordon Eakin scheduled up this year. That will not be the reason they missed the tournament. They scheduled up. No more crap. Phillip apparently got through to him finally. And I'll say this, Baylor, young team, boy, but Glenn Moore. You know Glenn Moore very well. He will have that group ready to go.
Yep. I was going to say, if you would have asked me, like, who's the team in the next 2 to 3 years, it's Baylor. They are going to do so well. He's a great coach. And with how young of a staff they've got, if they all stay there, you never know now with the transfer portal. If they all stay there, they're going to be the team to beat.
All right. Well, you're going to stay. You're going to stay. You're not going to go to the portal. Tell the audience what your line, where they can find you, and all your coverage. I know you do Cyclone coverage. We'll have you on here from time to time throughout the year. Where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at LeahCJ21. I'll be tweeting all about softball this season, and then I also do post-game shows for Cyclone Fanatic covering women's basketball. So it's really heating up the season. Iowa State's doing an incredible job. They just took down Texas Tech, so huge momentum for them. So thanks.
Congrats to your basketball teams for beating my basketball teams. All your teams are beating. What the heck?
I know. Hey, maybe 2026 is your year, Eric, but I'm not quite sure.
Not sure. All right, buddy. Be safe. Stay warm. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Eric. Thanks so much, Victor. Have fun.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. That is Leah Nelson. What a way to start off the show, leading off there, Victor.
Yes.
Kind of your thoughts, Big 12 there. What do you have to say?
Well, I was kind of surprised Leah kind of underbid with the 5 teams, and she nailed it right on the head. 4 solid: Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Arizona State. It's that 5, 6, 7. Does UCF and their young roster get another year experience? Can Baylor and their young roster figure it out? Does Iowa State avoid that first month slump and get themselves in the tournament? Can BYU win some of those tough non-conference games early on and get on the right side of things, because they were one of the last 4 teams out each of the last 2 years? Or do we see a team like Utah possibly with their young roster make some noise in 2026? Fascinating to see what happens with the Big 12 this year. And of course, as you referenced, Eric, only 8 teams make the Big 12 tournament this year, so every conference series magnified to a greater capacity. And you're muted, of course. We run into this issue with Mr. Lopez when we record our episodes, and now he does it on the live show.
It's only fair. I think 7's realistic for the Big 12.
Yeah,
I think 7 is very realistic. I think 5 is the minimum. I think 7.
5 to 7.
5 to 7. It's a good
5
number.
to 7.
It's a good number. Yeah.
5 to 7. Now, as we await Mr. Lopez for our next guest to show up on the podcast, we do want to remind everybody once again to go to d1softball.com, use promo code season26. You get 25% off any subscription to D1 Softball. You get conference forecasts, over 100 fall reports. We have our overall top 100. We have our mid-major top 100. By the way, speaking of top 25, you have our D1 softball top 25 that will be available each and every week. Of course, the defending champion Texas Longhorns, the number 1 ranked team in the preseason poll, along with Texas Tech and Oklahoma. Oh, and if you love mid-majors, we got you covered as well. Our mid-major top 25 out as well. FAU leading the way with Jordan Clark. We're going to have a lot to talk about mid-majors on tomorrow's episode, because if you know, the Monday of the season, we have our 31-1 episode where all 31 conferences are discussed with Eric Lopez, Amanda Scarborough, and Justin McLeod. That'll be available for you tomorrow morning, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And as the person who had to edit that, boy,
It's a great show, lengthy show, but cover all 31 conferences in that episode. No, you won't find it anywhere else.
And I will make reference of this tonight as well as the episode tomorrow. You can watch the full conversation with Eric and Justin on all the non-Power 4 conferences on our YouTube channel. There were portions of that interview we could not air due to time constraints because it literally would have been the longest episode in the history of the podcast. And even still, it might be the longest episode in the history of Inner Circle, which would be 1012.
We covered a lot, didn't we? We covered a lot.
We did.
We covered a lot on that one. So, yeah, that was fun. Always fun. And always fun to have Amanda Scarborough's 6th straight season. She's helped us with the season preview. We'll coming up, we're going to talk SEC as well as Big Ten later in the year, mid-major. Who are some of the mid-majors to watch? And then I'm going to make our World Series picks and Player of the Year picks.
Which will sure to be wrong.
There's no doubt about that. For sure. Who do you got? You got Texas Tech, I would assume, like everybody else.
I got Texas Tech. The team I'm looking forward to seeing probably is Arizona State, just because with Weddle and Kenzie Brown with the addition of John Barfelt, I'm like, wait, what? That might be the biggest coaching hire of this cycle. Is John Barfelt going to Arizona State, pairing up with Kenzie Brown. And think about what Kenzie Brown did last year. And she was not 100%, as Leah alluded to when we had her on previously. You had a healthy Kenzie Brown, plus the pitching mound of John Barfelt, and knowing his track record, Eric, from what we've seen back when he was head coach at Iowa.
Should be interesting. Of course, the Big 12 trying to compete with the ACC among the top conferences in the sport, Victor. Lots of storylines in the ACC this year.
Well, the ACC is fascinating where you got Florida State, got their pitching back for 2026. You got Duke. You got Clemson, who was literally 60 feet away from making it to the Women's College World Series up in Austin against Texas. You got Stanford playing back in their regular stadium that they had to play in Stanford Stadium last year. You got Cal with a new regime. A lot of storylines in the ACC in 2026. And, of course, Virginia Tech adding some additions after they had to replace 2 of their outstanding players who went professionally.
It's pretty good. Could be the most wide open of the power conference leagues.
Doesn't it feel that way? It feels that way to me. I feel every conference – there's like a clear top 2 or 3, and then there's the next tier. The ACC, you can make the argument that 4 or 5 teams could be the best team in the league, but the conference, the ACC could make a case that if things break right, they can get 8, 9 teams. They did that last year, set a record for most ACC teams in the tournament. That's possible. Now, there's always someone we knew about AC Tree softball. We have to get that right. Of course, we're referring to our good friend, our colleague, our West Coast people, Jenna Becerra. Jenna's joining us as always. Hello, Jenna. How are you as we approach the start of the season?
Hi, I'm great. I like AC Tree, by the way. We might have to keep that one rolling, but it's crazy that it's already this crazy and the season hasn't even started yet. But I think that's just because we're all anticipating everything fun to come.
Yes.
That's an understatement.
That's an understatement of the year. Of course, Jenna, we will start where you are at Palo Alto. You will be seeing Oklahoma State in your neck of the woods this upcoming week. What's been what's the outlook for Stanford and Jessica Allister after being so close last year to make it into supers against Oregon? How are they looking going into 2026, given the challenge that they're going to have to start this season coming up with the Cowgirls coming to Palo Alto?
Yeah, it might have been one of the most dramatic regionals that we've seen in a while, which there have been plenty that have been pretty dramatic, but that one in particular was very much a roller coaster. I think in Stanford's case, they bring back all of their best hitters, essentially. They lost a couple to graduation, but for the most part, the All-American River Mailer, the All-American Emily Jones, the All-American Taryn Kern. It's been a while since they've had 3 All-Americans all on their roster all at the same time. But then you throw in the power of Joey Economidis, who certainly had a moment or two, especially in that regional against Oregon. And then Kira Chan, who's a bit underrated with her stick, Jade Berry. They just are really stacked offensively after having broken a ton of single season records last year for the program. And then you throw in the fact that they have more pitching this year than they did last year. They only had those 3 arms. They returned Zoe Pristaico and Alyssa Houston, but they have 3 freshmen to add to it as well. So having 5 arms and a little more depth in the circle can only bode well for them. And they get to host quite a bit in the new stadium, including Oklahoma State. It's a great way to start off, but getting to host a bunch of people on the West Coast, not a bad deal for them.
Yeah, it's the marquee game of opening night, Palo Alto. Tell me about the stadium renovations. How is it playing? How is it going to play? That was a big storyline last year, as you know, with the football stadium. They set a bunch of records offensively. How will it play now in the renovated stadium? As we'll see first glance opening night against Oklahoma State. Know anybody there that's going to be there that can hook us up with tickets, by the way?
Us up.
Plenty of people.
Flights to an hotel.
There's plenty of people. I mean, a ton of alums are actually coming into town as well to celebrate the opening of the new stadium. Obviously, Jessica Allister is an alum herself. So the fact that she's kind of bringing that community back together to celebrate Alumni Day will be on Saturday in the opening weekend festivities. But I did get a chance to get a bit of a sneak peek in the last couple of weeks of what the stadium looks like. I think the biggest things that are improving is fan experience. It was actually a pretty gorgeous field and facility prior to these upgrades. But the biggest things are some of the fan things, like having restrooms inside the stadium. That's one thing they didn't have. Concessions is going to be huge. There are party decks that people can rent out because there's 3 stories in total in the stadium. And I think those are some of the fun things that are going to make the atmosphere really nice. In addition to that, the player spaces are improving and even better. They're built right into the stadium. Prior to that, they had a locker room out past center field. Now it's right there in the stadium. They have team spaces for athletic training and everything that they need for both the home team, but also visitors, of course, too. And one of my particular favorites, because I'm biased, is an expanded press box. That's something that was
how does that feel? How does that feel? I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. So you'd have to tell me what's that like?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how it goes once I'm in it, because that's when it's really going to.
Well, they haven't let you in yet?
No, I haven't actually gone up into it yet. No, so that'll be the first time for actual opening day. Yeah, but prior to this, it was a smaller press box built a long time ago, and we were expanding it more and more with tents outside and things like that, calling games. So now to have a real press box with a great just visibility from the top 2 and that 3rd level is going to be really fun.
Hey, Jenna, if you could send that message over towards 4000 Central Florida Parkway, where Elo does his games for UCF, he would greatly be appreciated.
She knows already who to send it to. It ain't me either. She knows. There's a fellow Californian she could send that to. There, UCF, send the photos there. But I want to. Stanford is one of these teams, and this is, I think, the ACC of the power conferences. I would argue is the most wide open. When you consider, I think Stanford's in the mix, contender. Florida State, always a contender, but they're young with Lonnie Alameda and company. You've got Virginia Tech with Pete DeMore and the job he's done. They're kind of young, especially in the circle. Duke, who I'm going to see in my backyard here in Orlando this weekend. They got Cassidy Curd back. They got a good, talented offense. Jess Oakland back, but there's some questions about Duke as well. And then there's Clemson, as John Rittman losing their pitching staff. What's your thoughts on the ACC? Because all those teams I just mentioned, you can make a case for them all to win the ACC. You can also make a case for all of them to finish 5th or 6th in the league,
It's fair to say, honestly. I do think they're going to beat each other up, right? At least the top half of the ACC will. I referred to, prior to the conference realignment, I referred to the core 4 in the ACC a lot, which is Duke, Clemson, Florida State, and Virginia Tech, as you just mentioned, Elo. And then you throw in, of course, the West Coast flavor with Stanford. I even think there's some underrated talent there for Virginia, for example. So Virginia has made it into our preseason top 25 rankings in that last slot for D1 softball. For a reason, 6 total teams have made it in our rankings going into this season. And then I saw flashes of brilliance from North Carolina, even at the ACC tournament with Kenna Ray Dark, Sanaa Thompson. They were fantastic to watch. And then, of course, yes, you have the grittiness that Clemson had last year to push themselves from a really rough start early on in the season to then going all the way to getting that championship at Boston College this past year. Florida State knows what they're doing. They're the most experienced when it comes to getting to the Women's College World Series. It's been a couple years since they've been able to do it. That's a long time, it feels like, for them. But they have that experience. And to bring back Jazzy Francic and Ashton Danley in particular in the circle, and then you have Kennedy Harp coming back, right? So there's some of that offensive push that you have. And then Issa Torres, who we talk a ton about, Jasoni Beecham. All of these women, they have a taste of what it's like to be in that system. And Lonnie Alameda knows how to get them consistently to the next level. So I think you're right, though, that it's a little bit open. It's an open field in a lot of ways. You know, Duke, I do like the fact that they have some good transfers coming in. Jess Oakland didn't get to play last year. She's going to be a huge impact for them, especially with the loss of Anna Gold to graduation. Amina Vega's still there. Gianna Jennings is still there. But I think the Blue Devils are going to go as Cassidy Curd goes, really, this year. I mean, she was outstanding a couple of years back on their World Series push that they made, and can she bring it together this year in her senior year? A lot of things like that. Those are questions that we have for each of these teams. I think they have the tools, but who's going to bring it together the best and who's going to peak at the right time?
Is there a team in the ACC, Jenna, that's kind of like in that second level that could surprise everybody, kind of be on the scene like a Virginia did a couple of years ago, and they've sustained that success being the preseason top 25 with D1 softball? Is there a team in that second tier that we may want to keep an eye on that can kind of challenge those top teams?
I think Virginia is one of them. And I think, you know, after a 14-year drought, back-to-back postseason experiences, not too bad. Their key is going to be consistency, though. They had that huge win over UCLA and Clearwater early on in the season. They didn't really end peaking at the right time at the end of their season, so consistency is going to be big. But I do think Eden Bigham is underrated. She was the first team All-ACC last year, preseason this year. And they have hitters like Jade Hilton, Macy Eaton, Bella Cabral, you know, and they're going to host the ACC tournament for the first time this year, too. So I think all of those elements will play into a building of their confidence. But in addition to that, I mentioned North Carolina. I think they're rebuilding right now, but to be this early on in the rebuild with an alum leading their alma mater like Megan Smith-Lyon, I think you don't have to be an alum to do a good job, but I do think there's an element there where if you use it well, it can be an advantage. And I think the fact that they had 40 wins last year, winning record in the ACC for the first time this decade, you know, they had a program record in runs scored, third in the ACC in batting average. Like, I just think they flew under the radar last year. And I think, you know, again, Kenna Ray Dark and Sanaa Thompson are going to be some of the leaders on the field, but also it's how do the returners develop? You know, Lily Parrish, for example, her ERA was over 6 last year, but she played in the Florida Gulf Coast League this summer. She was the MVP of the league. So some of those things are huge. And then even getting transfers from within the ACC, I think that speaks to the program as well. Bringing NC State ace Carly Maxton in, who can do that much. I mean, we saw Patty Gasso do it, right? With Kelly Maxwell coming from Oklahoma State to go to Oklahoma at the time, but that doesn't happen that often. So being able to see that, I think, is a big deal. The other team that I'll mention that I really think people don't pay enough attention to sometimes that can be incredibly scrappy is Georgia Tech. They made it back to the postseason. They had some big wins last year, too, over Stanford, Oklahoma State, Auburn. Coach Morales is also an alum, and their goal now is to play in the regional final. And I feel like every time that I watch them play, they may give up some runs, but they fight right back and score some and get some back immediately after. Like, that is the type of mindset and grittiness and scrappiness that they have. And I just think you can't overlook them.
Want to ask you about Cal, biggest coaching hire of the offseason. Steve Singleton, of course, coming from Texas to take over the Cal program. I know you spoke to him. This is a lot of unknowns here from the standpoint of a new roster, basically, with a lot of departure, changes, and a team that doesn't have a home this year. They're going to have a new home, but that's not till 2027. And spoiler, they're not playing at a football stadium, unlike Stanford. By the way, what is it about you? Every year, we're talking about facilities with you up there in the Bay Area. I don't know what's going on over there, but what can you tell us about the Cal situation, where they're going to play their games this year? And this feels like a tough first year coming for Coach Singleton.
It is. And one note on just the facilities, I think it's time. Right. I mean, Cal is a program that has a national championship under its belt, and its facilities had looked the same as it did 20 years ago. Right. And so Stanford had put in some investment. Now Cal is finally doing that. I think the southeastern portion of the country and the SEC, et cetera, even Clemson, for example, in the ACC, they've shown a lot of great investment in softball and in these programs. And it was and if you build it, they will come sort of mentality. And the history is there on the West Coast, but the facilities have needed to catch up. So I think that's actually going to be huge, and also for recruiting purposes. But Cal, in terms of what they look like this year, I think you're right. So 10 transfers, 5 freshmen, 8 returners. But those returners, for the most part, had limited playing time earlier on in their careers at Cal. So it's how does that develop? They inherited their entire roster too. Steve Singleton did not make a single addition. So he does give credit to the prior coaching staff and the interim who were able to continue that process during the transition. So he was very open and grateful for that. I think they might surprise some people. I really think that they might, because there's this level of, and Steve Singleton talks about this, freedom that they have, because they're not putting labels and specific expectations on this season like maybe they did in the SEC last year when he was at Texas on staff, right? They are really just trying to take that pressure off and build the foundation there. And sometimes I think that's when the team can be the most dangerous, when they feel like they don't really have anything to lose. They're playing freely, they're coaching freely on top of that. And, they're actually maybe having fun and rediscovering some of that joy. But a freshman that's coming in for them, Maya McGowan, she's a two-way player. I mean, the way that Coach Singleton describes her is electric. I think she's going to be the main one that we're going to see in the circle. She's going to hit for herself, even DP sometimes, I think. I think she's one to watch, certainly, out there in Berkeley. And then there's some other transfers that I think are interesting. Anya German from Texas Tech. Her and Steve Singleton have a few laughs at practice over their prior associations and meeting each other head to head in OKC, of course. I think it's a little more fun for Coach Singleton, maybe. But she's bringing some of that experience, right? And knowing how to play in the big stages. The middle infield they're bringing over from Boston College. Like they have some of that experience within the ACC coming with their transfers as well. And he also, I think, has a good mentality of balancing the returners from Cal and what they can bring, what they know about the institution, the program, the ACC, et cetera, but then putting his own brand on it, right? And making starting a new foundation for this new chapter. So I just think they have some power hitters, they have some speed, they have some options in the circle. I think they might ruin some people's days sometimes.
Multiple temporary homes, right, this year?
Yes. So they are playing at West Valley College, which Vicky Galindo, a Cal alum, Olympian, is the coach of. That's in Saratoga. They're playing 3 of their 4 ACC home, quote unquote, series there, and they're playing 1 in Sacramento. So Saratoga will be sort of their home away from home for the most part. And other than that, they're on the road the whole year. But a special little, we talked about Oklahoma State. Cal and Stanford are going to play a non-conference game at opening weekend on Sunday too. So that's going to be kind of exciting to see prior to the series that we'll see later on in April.
And the Cal Stanford series, they're playing a series in Stanford.
At Saratoga.
Oh, it's Saratoga. Wow.
Yes. I think initially there were conversations about okay, well, Stanford has a great brand new stadium. Should we just play there, even though it's supposed to be a Cal home series? If you're the Bears, to be fair, do you really want Stanford to have that kind of home field advantage? Probably not. So they are going to go to Saratoga and play at the temporary home field.
Victor, every time I talk to Jen, I learn something new about California, a new place I never heard of. Now I've heard Saratoga. When I first thought of that, I was like, wait, the horse racing track?
No, not the horse track in New York, Mr. Lopez. No, not that.
Just check.
Nope.
All right, let me ask you about a couple national topics. I recorded with Amanda Scarborough. That'll be on our Monday podcast. She believes this is the best senior class when it comes to the pitchers, with the headliners, of course, Nyjah, Carlin Pickett, Jordy Fromm. What is your thing you're looking forward to the most seeing this year nationally?
First of all, I agree. I mean, just the concept that those three, let alone everyone else that's in that class, might be hearing their names called to be drafted to play professionally too this year, now that that's more and more established with the AUSL. That's incredibly exciting. And I think those three in particular get the most attention for great reason, right? Like Jordy has a couple of national championships in her career. Carlin has thrown the fastest pitch we've ever seen in collegiate softball and went to a World Series. And then Nyjah, the USA Softball Player of the Year during her career. There's so many things that make those three great. And I think there are some others too, like a Lindsey Grine, who's also made a huge impact at Oregon. And it's interesting when you see people, make a move transfer wise, and then they seem like they found the place that fits. That seems like that's been the case for Lindsey Grine. And I think that it's going to be really difficult for hitters this year. I mean, it has become much more of a hitter's sport in a general sense over the years, like versus 10 years ago, for example. But I think some of these pitchers with their experience too has been huge. But Eric, what was the other part of your question?
What are you looking for? What storyline are you looking forward to the most nationally this year?
Yeah, I think for those three in particular, like you said, none of them have a national championship at the current university that they're at. So like Jordy hasn't done that at Nebraska, right? And it was a big deal for her to go back to her home state and help grow the game there. So I think they just missed, right? They just missed the World Series last year. And it was really an incredibly fun super regional to watch against Tennessee. And when you have Jordy and Carlin going up against each other, I mean, come on, what could really be better? So I think there's that pride there for her. I'm interested to see how that plays out, especially as a two-way player, which she really emerged as even more last year in her first year in Nebraska. For Carlin, I think there have been a ton of expectations. Tennessee is really interesting because it's a lot of new faces. She's definitely there in the center this year, but there's a lot of changes in Knoxville. So I'm curious to see how they make those adjustments. It's not something that Karen Weekly's unfamiliar with. She's been doing this quite a long time. But I think for her, it's can they get over the hump and even just get to a champ series in the World Series, or can they, make those certain pushes, because Carlin herself has felt like she's so close with that team. And then with Nyjah in particular, the big conversation is, and will be, understandably, it's around, will this Texas Tech team that has gone all in for NIL, will they do it? Will this investment end up in a national championship? Obviously, she was as close as you can get with her team last year. Ton of new folks in there. The transfers have been so high profile, as they should be. There's a ton of amazing talent, but I'm always curious, when there are a lot of transfers, how do you bring them together? Is there such a thing as too much talent to have to manage? You have Jasmine Burns, you have Lagi Quiroga, who can both catch, but they can both swing it. What are you going to do with that? You also have Victoria Valdez, who was behind the plate last year with Nyjah. How do you manage those things? There's so many moving parts that just because you have the pieces, coaches will say sometimes the best talent-wise team I had didn't win as much, right? It was the team that came together the best. So I'm really curious to see how Texas Tech does that this season, knowing that there are all these expectations too.
Give me your team under the radar, sleeper team that can make it to Oklahoma City. Kind of like Oregon last year. Nobody really talked about Oregon at this time a year ago because they were young. And, of course, they end up being a national seed. They win the Big Ten regular season title. They end up going to Oklahoma City. Do you have a team in mind?
I don't think it's fair to call this necessarily a sleeper team. That's not quite how I would frame it. But in terms of a team that I think might finally do it, make some history, get over the hump, I would not call them a sleeper team, but I do think Arkansas is in a great position to finally get there. They have Robin Heron back. They have their two main pitchers back. They have everybody but three people, I think, back on that lineup. And it was heartbreaking for them. And it has been a couple of times now. I think that they might be in a position to finally get over the hump. Again, I don't consider them a sleeper team because they've had the talent for a while and they've been really close in the past. But I just think that in terms of making history and us seeing a new face and a new team there, I think that's one to watch.
That's definitely a narrative. That's a storyline this season, without question. Now, I don't know if Victor and our people reached out to you. I believe that your season premiere of your Victor, see what I did there? Believe.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. You got your season premiere coming out next week, or this upcoming week, right? Next Thursday night, right?
Yes, opening day. Yep.
So are you still copyrighted to say your World Series picks are there? Or are you allowed to make some World Series picks here? I want to make sure we get our copyrights correct here. So what do you want to say here, World Series wise? What do you want to save? The floor is yours.
So no limitations on that. I think with Believe in Softball too, the preseason stuff I always wrestle with because I think a lot of it is based on the past. A lot of it's based on what we're guessing will happen based on certain moves that have been made in the offseason. But because of the transfer portal and how many changes there are now from year to year, it's normal to have 15 newcomers on a team. For example, I always hesitate to make calls before I see anything on the field, right? But it is fun to talk about, and it's fun to get the conversation going. So I probably won't do that on Believe anyway. So we can do that here in this forum.
Victor forces me all the time. So that's,
I don't force you. You willingly choose to do it.
Well, that's true too. Very true. So with that in mind, what do you got for us? What do you got? Give me a bold Jenna pick here.
To win it or to go to the World Series?
Either one, whatever you prefer.
These are not bold picks, but I think Texas and Texas Tech will go back. I think Oklahoma, despite there being some changes on that roster too, I think they know how to do it with different people. The 4-peat had different aces in the circle at times, right? Like when they were able to do that. So I think they'll go back to OKC. I think Florida State might make a push. They ran right into Texas Tech last year, and that's tough, right? And super regionals, going right into Niger Kennedy is not the easiest thing. But I think that they might make a push. I'll throw Oregon in there too. They do lose some speed with the Luchar sisters graduating, for example, but to still have Lindsey Grind, to still have some of the bats that they had last year that are young talent too. So there might be some good trajectory for them coming forward in the program. Why not? I mean, they look what they did last year. I think who's to say they won't do it again this year. The other team, I mentioned Arkansas too. I think Arkansas will go there. So I think that's, what do I have? 6 right now. If I had to choose, the problem with the last 2 slots is that there's like 15 teams that I think could make it to Oklahoma City right now. Again, it's really going to depend on how they bring things together. Nobody thought UCLA was going to go a couple of years ago when they only had basically Taylor Tinsley and Caitlin Terry. And Tinsley even got hurt for a while and they had 2 arms and they made it, right? So it's just some of these programs, you just cannot count them out. It could be UCLA, it could be Nebraska. Nobody's forgotten about Texas A&M and how they made an early exit last year, but they're probably coming back with a vengeance. South Carolina was so close. Arizona's path got cut short a little bit last year. Maybe Stanford steps up, and if they get over that hump in the regional this year, they can make a run after supers. Florida, Tennessee, Clemson is another one where it's like, well, they make it for the first time. I feel like it can go in so many different directions. I think Florida could make it, even though they have some changes too, but really everybody does. I don't know who to choose for that last slot. That's where I'm really struggling. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Vic gives me a hard time when I say this. Like, you got to pick one. So I don't know. I'm going to defer. Vic would be the judge on that one because he gets, and rightfully so, he gives me a hard time.
Well, I don't even know what my picks for the World Series are going to be.
There you go. Fair. That's very fair. I do think it's interesting. The Texas Tech thing is interesting. The schedule, I talked to Scarborough about this. They don't have a tough non-conference schedule in part because a lot of teams didn't want to play them. And we'll leave it as that. Don't want to get into all that. That's going to be interesting how the committee handles that. Does Texas Tech get knocked in the seat? Because you brought up a great point, Jenna, and I bring this up. All these coaches that think they're punishing Texas Tech by not playing them because they think that's going to hurt their seed, The team that ends up getting hurt is not Texas Tech and where they're seated. It's the team that has to draw Texas Tech, like you brought up with Florida State last year. So I think that's what's so interesting about this is, the Big Ten is interesting. UCLA, Oregon, Nebraska. I don't think the Big Ten's good enough for all three of them, for example, to be top 10 seeds. So somebody may be on the outside looking in. Who is that? I don't know. You got Washington as a sleeper in the Big Ten, right? So I mean, I think they're going to be a big. I've already said this, so I'll tell you. I think Alexis DeBoer is going to be a breakout star in the sport for Washington. I agree.
Her. I mean, I think she kind of was last year, right? But I think you never know. Sometimes after a freshman season, people talk about the sophomore slump, or it can go different ways. But I think the confidence that you show as a freshman, like Alexis DeBoer did, she very well could have an even better year this year.
More people will start talking to me. A lot of media, national media, talk about her because of who her father is. I think more people will start talking even more about her, the player. Maybe they'll just talk to the father about, hey, you're the father of Alexis.
You're Alexis's dad.
Yeah, let's get to that going. Just saying. But you're right. There's always a couple teams. Heck, there's mid-majors that make noise like Liberty last year. Who is that team? Do you have I don't know if you have a mid-major in mind that you like that could make a noise like Liberty did last year, but are we due for one to get to Oklahoma City? That's going to be something interesting as well.
Well, I think Liberty is an interesting team to keep an eye on this year. They lose some talent to graduation. Sure. Like we're not going to see Rachel Roop and some of these players that we're used to seeing in that historic season they had this past year. But Dot is certainly very invested. Like you can say whatever you want about Dot. You cannot say that she is not all in all the time. So that's something I think to keep an eye on for us. Our mid-major rankings for D1 softball, having Florida Atlantic at number 1 to come in the preseason. They're a team that I'm excited to watch as well. Look at that. Right on cue. Amazing.
That's why we got the best producer in the business, right?
Best in the biz. But yes, to see Florida Atlantic there, we have some mid-major folks that we had discussions with for preseason All-Americans for D1 softball too, that I think should always be kept in mind. Texas State's a good fun one to watch. GCU, San Diego State, Nevada's been underrated. We have them at number 8 right now, but I think they're going to make some noise in the Mountain West, for example. UCSB's another great one. They're at 15, sure, right now, but a historic season that they had last year to make it and actually get to their first regional final in program history. And they're going up against UCLA, and Joe Evans is a 40-year coaching veteran. So I'm curious to see what they do this year. I think there's so many different teams in the mid-major ranks that we're going to hear making a lot of noise early on in the season.
All right, Jenna, we will let you go on this. We're going to make our World Series picks at the end of the show when Justin joins us. It's been a tradition, so then you can mock us for those picks later. We're going to get you off the hook, make your picks. One quick answer. Player of the year. If you had to pick a player of the year, who'd you pick?
That's hard. This is why the argument that there should be a national player of the year and a national pitcher of the year.
That's a Vic right there, Vic. Oh, Vic's smiling there. Vic's smiling. He likes that.
First of all, I want to preface with that. But because there's just the one award, I do personally also love the two-way players in the circle, and they can hit too. If I'm considering all of those things, if it's just pitcher of the year, I say probably Nyjah. But if we're going to say player of the year, with the way that Jordy was able to swing the bat and contribute offensively in addition to what she did in the circle, I might give it to Jordy at this point. Don't come for me, Texas Tech fans.
Hey, she's still our friend. Victor, I don't know if you know, but, Nyjah is Jenna's friend and my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend. She talks to both of us. That's why.
Jenna, we're the future, I guess.
Well, you're welcome to hang out with us. Jenna, tell the audience where they can find you. I know you got content on d1softball.com, but I know you got other stuff as well. Just got to give us what they can expect.
Yeah, well, the D1 Softball podcast is starting back up too. So the dynamic duo that is in the circle and the D1 Softball podcast will both be back during this season. So you can follow on all of our channels, social and on the website at D1 Softball. But then, yes, Believe in Softball is also coming back. You can subscribe on YouTube or follow on Instagram and Twitter at Believe in Softball. Believe is spelled BLEAV with Believe Network. So that's how you can follow that. And then I will be doing a ton of broadcasting once again. So opening weekend, you mentioned it already, Eric. But I will be doing the opening weekend festivities for Stanford softball, including the stadium opening on Thursday against Oklahoma State. So you can watch that on ACC Network Extra.
Look at that, Vic. That's why she's an award-winning utility broadcaster. She can do it all. She's utility. Can do it all, digital, broadcasting, knew it all on that, my friend. Yes, I'm glad to hear you. They'll be doing Stanford Oak State. Not bad way to start things off on Thursday evening. Could be a lot worse things. Jenna, thanks for joining us. Enjoy. We will be in touch. By the way, 5 years now you've been coming on our show. 5 years.
I know. It's wild. I was thinking about that, I think, because we first met when I was doing Believe stuff early on, and it's the 7th season. And by the way, congratulations in a public forum in the circle, 1,000 episodes and counting. I know I gave you social media love, but I got to give you love on the live too, because that's incredible. We believe it's the longest running softball podcast in existence, and it's just so impressive.
Yeah, it's appreciate that you've moved up the charts as far as rankings of most appearances. The person next that's coming on after you still has a slight lead over you, but he had a 5-year head start on you, in fairness. So there's nothing you can do about that. But hey, look, I appreciate every time you come on. I know we'll have you on during the year, and like I said, we'll be tuning into you on D1 Softball and all the platforms you'll be on. Thanks for coming on and joining us.
Yes, thank you, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and looking forward to being teammates again this year.
Appreciate you. Jenna Becerra joining us here on In the Circle D1 Softball live show. Extravaganza, Victor. Tradition unlike any other. Her first appearance with us was on a live show, right, during the 2021 World Series.
Yes, and that was the World Series where I had to leave Oklahoma City during Game 3. If you watch our live streams, because there's a lot of history about that. Amanda knows a thing or two about being with us in live streams and podcasts and live shows and all other good stuff. Joins us right now, the one and only Mr. Justin McLeod, who's he's hunkered down. He's getting ready for the season. First of all, Justin, good evening. Second of all, how many Dr. Peppers have you run through already tonight?
Well, only 2 Dr. Peppers today, but I'm also 2 Alani's in, so we're probably talking about like a nice 500 milligrams of caffeine today. No big deal.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Casual.
That's fair. Justin has been doing season previews with us since literally our first season of the podcast, and he's done every year on the live show. The most frequent guest in the history of the program. He's sick of talking to me. We did a recording earlier for the mid-major preview show that Victor's already alluded to. Took a few minutes. We went a few minutes. We did that. We'll get into that a little bit in later then. But Justin, let me ask you this. I've asked Jenna this question. I've asked Amanda. What is your theme? What is the most interesting storyline you're looking forward to this season?
I mean, it's interesting because I think there's so much. I'm going to say unknown. I don't think it's necessarily the best word, but it gets my point across. I really do think going into the year, there is so much to a degree unknown. Like, we think we know a lot. We think Texas Tech might be a super team because of the money that they've paid to that team. We think Texas and Oklahoma are going to be right at the top. We think, we know who the best players are based on history and all that kind of stuff. We think we know what, conference-wise things are going to look like. I'm not sure we really know a heck of a lot to start, to be honest, because everything we think we know, I see a disclaimer. Everything that goes with it, I see a qualifying statement. So I really wonder what we actually know going into this year. And by virtue of that, I think there's a lot of things that can happen that maybe we don't see coming, but that once they happen, it's like, okay, you know what? I get it. I see.
Way to spill the secret sauce there, Justin. Of course, we don't know the storylines.
We think we know, but we don't know.
No, that's the beauty of the sport there. And that might apply to the SEC, perhaps as much as any. I think people believe Texas, the defending national champions, here we are. We've done an hour of the show. We haven't talked about them. Mm-hmm. They've kind of gone under the radar for a national champion. I don't think they mind that. They return to core. Oklahoma, Patty Gasso said on her first media availability with the local press, this is the most prepared Oklahoma team that she can remember going into a season. But then you got a lot of other intriguing storylines in the SEC. What's your thoughts on the SEC? Let's start with Texas and Oklahoma and your thoughts on those two.
Well, I think Texas is largely as strong as they were a year ago. I mean, that's still honestly the makeup of that team is very similar to what it was a year ago. A lot of homegrown, couple of imports, and last year it was Jolie Mitchell was there for a couple of years. This year it's Kaya Altmaier's new, but that's still those same players that have been there for a hot minute that Mike White brought in. Like, that core is still intact. I think Texas is as strong as they were a year ago, to be honest with you. Oklahoma, I actually think, is stronger than they were a year ago. I think when you look at Oklahoma last year, you can pretty easily discern what their points of weakness were. And I say weakness, it was an SEC champion Oklahoma team, but certainly they had some weaknesses. You can pinpoint exactly what those points of weakness were. And then you look at this year, and they have shored up those exact points of weakness. The pitching staff was an issue. Well, okay, they go out and get somebody who was a two-time All-American at one point and one of last year's star freshmen from another SEC school. The catching position, Isabella Emmerling could smack the ball, but they definitely needed an upgrade there. Well, Kendall Wells might be the most college-prepared catcher and maybe hitter that I've seen in a hot minute. Like, I've seen her hit. She's a stud. So you shored up that position. Like, I think Texas is as strong as they were a year ago, and we saw where that strength got them ultimately. I think Oklahoma's stronger than they were a year ago. I think, to me, those two programs coming into this year are, to me, the two programs that I like, and this is a spoiler for later, sure, those might be the two programs I think will be playing for the national championship. I think those two are that good.
And the crazy thing is, Texas won a national championship and didn't get a single inning play from Vivi Martinez, who missed the entire season, and she's coming back in 2026. That's the scary thing, to your point about Texas. And I think Oklahoma's kind of relishing the fact that not many people are talking about them, because all the talk is about Texas Tech and Texas and Tennessee within the SEC. So I think Patty Gasso is kind of relishing the fact that there's always a spotlight on Oklahoma because of the pedigree and the history, but the spotlight isn't as big as it has been in previous years.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think if you're Patty Gasso, of course you're relishing that. Because, I mean, honestly, how much are we hearing about Texas right now? How much of the offseason chatter, it's been Texas Tech, it's been Texas Tech, it's been Texas Tech. Okay, throw in a Jordy. Okay, throw in a Carlin Pickens, Texas Tech, Texas Tech. Like, if I'm Texas and Oklahoma, I'm exactly where I want to be because I know the strength of my team. I know what we're capable of. I know we've shored up our positions of weakness, and we're not at the forefront of everyone's minds. Texas is the defending national champion, and they're not at the forefront of everyone's minds. Oklahoma is still just, I mean, they were just the four-time national champions. They're still the SEC champion. They're not at the forefront of everyone's minds. So if I'm Texas or Oklahoma, if I'm Mike White or Patty Gasso, that's exactly where I want to be. That's exactly where I want to start my year.
Let me ask you about Kendall Wells real brief. I want to go back to your comments. That was very high praise you mentioned about Kendall Wells. Is she if you had to pick a national freshman of the year, is she your pick?
I think probably, yeah. I mean, I think it's her or Elsa Morrison at Tennessee. I mean, I've seen both of them hit, and they are two of the most pure hitters. And I think they both are immediate lineup staples for their respective teams, which is kind of a prerequisite for that too. Like, there's no way, in my mind, there's no way Kendall Wells doesn't start for OU. And Morrison, like, there's room behind the plate, so she's going to jump right in for Tennessee. So, I mean, Morrison and Wells are probably my two favorites for freshman of the year.
That's pretty good. You mentioned Texas. Tegan Cavan. You know, we did the big promo this year, the big three. Nyjah, Carlin Pickens, Jordy Fromm, formerly Jordy Balls. Jordy Fromm got married. Congratulations. Good on all that. Just getting used to the name. It's beauty. Some people have asked, and I think it's an interesting question. And then part of that is because they're all seniors. And now, spoiler, but I mean, Scarborough and I go depth into that. And she believes, Justin, that this is the best senior class ever that she's covered in softball. With that being said, forget the seniors and all that. Tegan Cavan is not a senior. That being said, is Tegan Cavan being perhaps, I don't know, should she be in this conversation when we talk about the best pitchers in the sport? Is there a big four? Should Tegan Cavan be in that conversation? Forget about seniors and juniors and all that.
I think Cavan is appropriately at 4. I'll say that. Personally, I think as we stand right now going into this year, I think she's appropriately the top person in the second tier. Doesn't make her a second tier player by any stretch, but second tier in terms of if you're going to make the distinction of big three and then whatever comes after that. Like, I actually think that's appropriate. I think the biggest thing for me is as good as Kevon was for Texas when the chips were down this past year, that to me is what solidified her spot at number 4, if you will. What I need to see from Kevon is I need her to be steady. I need her to be steady Eddie through the course of the entire regular season. I need her to lead a pitching staff the same way a Carlin Pickens has Tennessee. I need her to carry a staff. I need her to carry a team when her team just isn't as great, similar to what Jordy Ball or Jordy Fromm. We'll get there eventually. As long as I get it right when I write, I'm going to
put it in the cookie jar, Vic. Put it in the cookie jar.
Right.
Jar.
But no, I think Kevon is appropriately number 4. Now, at some point this year, before the end of the year, could she get to the point and perform her way to being on the same plane with those 3? Yeah. I mean, opening weekend, if she goes out and outduels Jordy a couple of times, if Kevon goes out and, wallops Nebraska, wallops Washington in that opening weekend tournament, does her climb start a little more meteorically upward towards that top 3? Sure. Can she get there without another postseason run? She can. Like, she can get there before the postseason. Right now, I think she's pretty fairly behind those 3, still on the climb up there.
Who's the biggest threat to Carlin Pickens' crown as best pitcher in the SEC?
Well, I think it's Kevon.
Okay. Vic, you agree?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure we're unanimous. Wow. What a start.
Which means it's not good news.
I would say it's a cold day, but it literally is a cold day.
Yeah, it literally is a cold day.
All right. Let's talk about Arkansas, Justin. Just had Jenna on. That's one of her storylines she's intrigued by. Arkansas. Can they get over the hump? Can they get to Oklahoma City? Is a narrative that she's talked about. She's intrigued by. They have the roster. They've got the talent. They're a team, to me, that is an SEC title contender. If OU and Texas are going to be the favorites, but I think they're a legit title contender. What is your thoughts on Courtney Deifel's team? Is this the year they break through? We'll get maybe the answer part of that later in the show, but your thoughts on that narrative with Arkansas, because it is somewhat out there, even though I would argue if they chose, some of their players chose where they ate properly on the weekend of the Supers, we would have this question at all. But hey, what's your thoughts on the Razorbacks?
I'm not touching that Super from last year. No, I actually think it is. It sounds strange to say this because this is probably the least, not the least, but this is probably one of the Arkansas teams that when I look at them just at an eyeballs glance and then move on, I don't necessarily see World Series team. That actually is the quality that makes me think, yeah, this might be the year. Because here's the thing, you lost a Bree Ellis. You also lost a Courtney Day, who complimented Ellis so well in the lineup.
Yeah.
But Bree Ellis was the National Player of the Year. She was the figurehead. Well, she's not there anymore. So when somebody looks at Arkansas, a casual softball fan, softball person, they look at Arkansas. How many of those casual softball fans are going to go, okay, Arkansas. Okay, what about Arkansas? There's not an immediate Bree Ellis. There's not an immediate whatever. That's where Arkansas thrives. Like, if you think about it, that's where Arkansas thrives. Bree Ellis was the National Player of the Year last year. She certainly didn't come into the year with anybody expecting her to be the National Player of the Year. I mean, I saw Arkansas in the fall at that round robin with Tulsa and Oklahoma State. I wasn't even sure what Bree Ellis was going to be made of. I certainly wasn't picking her to be the National Player of the Year. But with that chip on their shoulder, with low expectations externally, is where Arkansas thrives. So, like, I think this actually could be the year. And the kicker is, the one thing Arkansas has done is they've shown an innate ability to win big games. Like, you think about it, that's what they did, is they won games that on paper they weren't supposed to win. Granted, they didn't win the one they were supposed to win in Fayetteville in May, but that's beside the point. I think in general, Arkansas has proven they can win the big games against the top tier opponents. I mean, I think this could be the year. Like, and the biggest reason why is because I think the expectations are low. It's okay. What is Arkansas made of? What does Arkansas have? Well, like I say, that's where Arkansas thrives.
Is this one of those instances, Justin, where they may have to do it away from Bogle? Because if you look at those disappointments, Arizona, Texas, last year with Ole Miss. Does it maybe require them to be on the road in the Super Regional to get through to Oklahoma City?
I don't think so. The only thing that comes with that is if you're on the road, it means you're not the higher seed. So to that degree, maybe, because there again, you do get to benefit from having the chip on your shoulder. I mean, the thing is, I was at that Super Regional against Texas. Was that 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Time's not real. But I was at that Super Regional against Texas. I saw that matchup. I was not at that Super Regional against Ole Miss last year. Against Texas, Arkansas got just flat out beat by a team that was better than them. Against Ole Miss, they got beat by a team that was better than them for a weekend, if we're going to be honest here.
Yep.
I don't think they have to do it away from Bogle, but I do think there has to be a way for them to have that chip on their shoulder. Like, I think that's the key piece that's missing in those games is against Ole Miss, Arkansas was favored. It should have been a foregone conclusion. Given the two teams, given their records during the year, given their talent, all that kind of stuff, it should have been a foregone conclusion. But foregone conclusion was Arkansas should have run away with it. Well, that didn't happen. There was no chip on the shoulder. So do I think they have to do it away from Bogle? No. Do I think they need to find a way to do it with a chip on their shoulder, whether that's at home or on the road? Yeah, because I think that's where Arkansas thrives.
They got a tough stretch at the end of the SEC schedule. I believe they're at Texas to finish. I believe the regular season they go to Oklahoma
because they host them
as well. So
and they got Missouri in the middle of that stretch.
Missouri in the middle. Let's stretch this out in the SEC. Justin, I'm curious. Give me a sleeper. Give me a team in the SEC that nobody's actually talking about. Give me a team. Who could be this year's South Carolina? A team that was picked near the bottom. Nobody thought Eddie had any thoughts about Ashley Chastain Woodard's team going into her first year. And next thing you know, they surprise and they win a regional. And they literally get within an out of getting to Oklahoma City. Is there a team like that in the SEC? Who is that?
Well, to be fair, I don't remember what the preseason picks were, so I don't know who was picked near where, to be honest. But I think Auburn probably fits that bill in my mind. I love them picking up Ella Harrison, the Rutgers transfer. She was really good for Rutgers last year, and that was not a good Rutgers team last year. I think she's the goods. I think she's a potential SEC ace, and that's what you have to have in this age in the SEC. You have to have an ace. I think she's got the goods to be an ace. I also think because I think Harrison has the goods to be an ace, I think SJ Guerin could be put in a position where she thrives. If Harrison can front that staff and Guerin can play a key support role, whether that's as a Saturday starter, whether that's as a reliever, maybe Harrison throws the first 5 and Guerin throws the last 2 every day. Whatever that looks like, I think Harrison is frontline starter material. I think Guerin can step in and be the biggest support system, whatever that looks like, innings wise, whatever. I think Auburn's got the chance to really climb in the standings. I mean, if you look at it last year, they started as cold as you can get in conference, but then if you look, they heated up. Pressure was on. Granted, what is that pressure? You just got to finish above 500, but still, you still had to finish. Well, they did. They turned it around. They didn't quit losing, but they sure quit losing a lot. So, they already showed some moxie last year. They've got some young players back, but I really like Harrison as frontline starter material for them. And I think that could be the game changer that puts him in that position.
Year 2 of the Malvos as well. Maybe the hitters are a little more comfortable, used to the Malvo system of hitting.
Yep.
As well, to back up your point there. Georgia's one for me. I think we've they had a good transfer portal class. Good core. Mm-hmm. Under the radar. They did make a super regional last, which I think we all forget. They made a super region. They were winning away from the World Series. Yeah. So I think Georgia's one for me. There is an under the radar team in the SEC.
Well, and you're right. They had a very nice transfer class. That's a really nice transfer class.
I think that's a couple good options there. I want to ask you of Tennessee. We know about Carlin Pickens. Mm-hmm. What about the offense, though? Lost a lot. Graduation, portal, young offense. Craig Snyder there, obviously running the offense. Do they have enough offense there to support Carlin Pickens?
I think the jury's out on that, to be honest. I certainly think they have the potential, but I think we're going to see in week 1, to be honest with you, down in Clearwater. I think we're going to see. I don't even think it's going to take to week 2. I think we're going to see in week 1, but just because of the matchups they have. They certainly have the offensive talent. I already mentioned Elsa Morrison, the freshman catcher. You've got the 2 Boise State transfers, Knight, the speedster, the small ball player, Butt, the slugger. I think both of them are similarly key pieces, but the thing is, you've got to put it together. So you've got the talent. I see the talent on the roster. I see the talent in the lineup. That's what I say. In week 1, I think we're going to see, can they put it together? If we see an offense that comes out and struggles out of the gate, outside of, okay, who's batting where in the lineup, that's going to be an immediate red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Because who bats where in the lineup, yeah, sometimes you don't have the continuity to start, but that can be fixed. But if it's, okay, nobody's getting hot at the plate and it doesn't work, it's disjointed, that's something that I could see taking Tennessee a minute to solve, and I don't know that they have a minute to solve it. Like, with Pickens in the circle, you have a very small margin of error because you are battling. I mean, let's be honest. The chance of what the national semifinals are this year could be I mean, honestly, I'm in the position now where I want 2 if games in the semifinals just because of what could be. Like, I want double the matchups. Even if somebody pulls off an upset, like, I'm at the point now where I look at who could be there and I'm like, yeah, just give me the if games. Just I'll stay longer. We'll do 2 games a session while in Oklahoma City. Give me the if games. But Tennessee with Pickens would be an odds-on favorite to be in that semifinal on paper. But the offense has got to deliver. And your margin for error is so small because of what the other potential around you is. I think we're going to see in week 1 what the offense is made of. They've got the talent, but can they put it together?
I think another interesting part is Matty Rutan, transfer from Eastern Kentucky, 2-way player, really exploded offensively in her sophomore season. Pitching numbers went down a little bit than what she was when she was the A-Sun freshman and pitcher of the year in 2024. If they can get something similar to the 2024 Rutan with the pitching and the 2025 Rutan with the hitting and take some pressure off of Pickens in the circle, I think that might be the biggest reason why Tennessee makes it back to Oklahoma City.
Well, don't forget you got Sage Marjetko sitting there.
Yes.
Marjetko's an SEC pitcher. I mean, being an SEC number 2 is nothing to sniff at. Like, that's been Marjetko's role, and she's done well.
Yes, definitely.
So, like, if Rutan can duplicate what she did in the A-Sun and the SEC, she might be Pickens. But even if she can just be a solid producer, like, if Tennessee's pitching staff can go 3 deep, like a legitimate 3 deep, especially if that keeps Pickens fresher by the end of the year, like, that's best case scenario for them. You still need the offense to deliver and to connect. But if Pickens can be fresher by the end of the year, it does expand that margin of error even a slight bit, which makes a difference.
Speaking of Justin McLeod here, by the way, D1softball.com. We did every Power 4 preview up on D1softball.com.
Yeah.
How many conference forecasts did you do, sir? How many conference forecasts we have?
All of them, 31.
Hey, well, how about that, Vic?
By the way, we're going to be talking about all 31 conferences on tomorrow's episode. Justin and Eric.
You heard that one, Blairo? You heard that one, Blairo? I know you're tuning in. All 31
Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. I know you're arriving late, but konnichiwa, sir. But
all right, Vic, what do you
conferences tomorrow?
It's pretty fun. Vic, what do you got for Justin SEC here?
My question, Justin, in terms of the SEC, it feels to me that is there a team that could, I don't want to say be like Ole Miss, where they like come out of nowhere and make it either deep to the World Series or make a deep Super Regional? Is there a team like that that could be that team this year? Because I know you brought up brought up Auburn, excuse me, and what they could do. Is there a team like that could, if all the cards fall in place for them, could that happen for them?
I mean, it sounds strange to put them in this light, but we already talked about Auburn and a little bit on Georgia, and it sounds a little different to throw them into this category because they're not a bottom tier team. But given the postseason history of the last couple of years, I feel like LSU fits that bill, and I see a world where LSU could make that run. Now, they need a lot of things to go right. Don't get me wrong. They need the right thing, the right boxes to be checked and all that. But I see a world where LSU does that. Like I look at Jaden Heavner. They need her to be a frontline ace. She had signs of brilliance last year. She also had some outings that weren't so great. She's also a freshman. You get her now, she's a sophomore. If she can still perform to that level, best case scenario. No sophomore slump, frontline ace. That's a good thing for LSU. Yeah. You also have CC Salura, who I think is a solid arm, a solid number 2, similar to what I just said about Sage Marjetko. Like Salura could be that for LSU. If you have Heavner and Salura as a solid 1-2, you're going to win games in the SEC. LSU's conference schedule is also front-loaded. So you have a couple of weeks there in the back end of the conference schedule where you can where you can get on a run. So I can see a world where LSU does that. They added a couple of offensive pieces that I think will be helpful. I like Charla Renz, the Louisville transfer. I think she could be helpful. I figure she'll probably slot into left, but she can play a couple of different positions. And then I like the Kentucky transfer, the third baseman Hutchins. I think her bat is solid. So wherever that fits in the lineup, whether that fits in at third, whether she DPs, whatever that looks like. But I think they have the offensive pieces to be able to do something. They need a lot of things to go right still, for sure. But I see a world where LSU could make a run.
All right, we'll make our SEC picks here later, as well as our postseason picks. I want a quick word on the Big Ten, Justin, because we talked a lot. Texas Tech's got a lot of scrutiny this year. There's not a team that's more scrutinized than Texas Tech, with maybe facing all the pressure that they have. I would argue number 2 on that list is Nebraska. From the standpoint of very veteran group, Jordy Fromm, put it in the jar. It's gonna be an ongoing thing this year, folks. Jordy Fromm.
I'm gonna find me a jar when I
seriously get it for the show all year. We're gonna need it all year. Jordy Fromm, senior year. They got great players like Ava Kuzak. They've added pieces, Hannah Core and company. Could be Rhonda Ravel's best and last chance to get back to Oklahoma City. It's been a minute since Nebraska's been there. Your thoughts on Nebraska? And listen, not necessarily a lot of hype here for a team. You got them, you got Oregon, you got UCLA. I'm not sure the Big Ten's good enough to have 3 teams in the top 10 seeds nationally. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But your thoughts on the Big Ten highlighted by Nebraska?
Top tier of the Big Ten's really good. Like, I actually think they are. I think they're top. I think the top tier of the Big Ten is genuinely good. We're going to ignore the bottom 2 tiers of the Big Ten with that statement. I do like the top tier, though. To me, Oregon's the front runner. I like Oregon a lot. I'm very high on Oregon. To me, though, Nebraska's right there, right underneath them. I think the thing for Nebraska is similar to what I said earlier about Arkansas. I actually think it's a little interestingly similar for Nebraska because people see Jordy. Whether they see Jordy Ball or Jordy Fromm, they see Jordy. And then what else? How many general softball fans, how many even knowledgeable softball fans can tell you a whole lot about Nebraska? So then the question becomes, dissimilar from Arkansas, how does Nebraska handle that? Do they play best with a chip on their shoulder? Do they play best when nobody knows them and they can take everybody by surprise? Or do they need a little bit of that to pump them up? Again, week 1, we're going to find out something about them. They play Texas, they play Washington. I like Nebraska's talent level. I will say that. That's a very veteran group. If you go around the diamond, what is it? Is it 7 starters I think they have back? They think they've got a really good complement to Jordy in the freshman Jensen, the lefty. Give Jordy maybe a little bit more relief in the circle. Hannah Camenson did a nice job last year, but Jensen maybe a little step up to that. Maybe even a healthy Kylie McGee starts a few games in there, spell Jordy a little bit. That's a best case scenario, honestly. But I like the talent level. I just need to see somebody not named Jordy deliver. Like, Jordy carried that team so much last year, even with that high talent level. I need to see somebody not named Jordy come through. Jordy doesn't really have bad days per se, but who's gonna step up and not make Jordy have to throw a 3-hit shutout to win a conference series? And again, I think we're gonna find out something about that in the first week. They play Texas twice, they play Washington twice. We're going to find out something about that. It's not going to be the end all be all, but we're going to find out something about what does Nebraska have that they can deliver on behind Jordy. I think they've got the talent. Now I need to see the execution.
They got a favorable Big Ten schedule that may help them win the regular season title if they can find, and I think you've nailed it. How do they look in games where Jordy's not in the circle? I think is going to go a long way with them. Because Oregon's got Grind. They got the arms, Grind, Sokolsky and company.
Can we pull one of these comments over here? The catcher.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that one. So Nebraska got Jessie Farrell from UNLV. And she's really interesting because she's a rising junior this year. But she caught at UNLV as a freshman. Then as a sophomore last year, ended up moving to shortstop because they had an injury at short and had depth at catcher, and she's just an athlete. She moved to short. So she's going to come to Nebraska. She's in Nebraska now, and she's going to catch again. That's a major upgrade. Like outside of anything Nebraska did, Farrell is an athlete. She's a heck of an athlete. Not a bad swinger with the bat either. She's got a good bat, but she's an upgrade just in terms of athleticism and behind the plate. I saw that comment come through. Like that's going to be an extra game-changing piece for Nebraska too. I really like Farrell there. And when Rhonda Revelle and I did our fall report interview, she specifically mentioned that Farrell and Jordy had really, really meshed well as a battery. So that's a really good call out because I had not mentioned Farrell, but that's a game-changing piece for Nebraska too.
Shout out Wemblero for bringing it up there.
Yes.
How many fall reports we had? Over 100, Justin?
I think the number was either 104, 105.
That's a lot of coaches we're talking to, people.
Yes.
I contributed a small piece. Small
piece.
Small little piece on that. Nobody else as many as there. Michigan, I think, can they find pitching? I think their offense is good with Putz, Conway. Do they find pitching? Because their ace graduated. Indiana, Justin, you're going to see how does life without Bree Copeland, as well as maybe arguably the best Hoosier hitter ever in Minnick. Mm-hmm. Things are going well, though, in Bloomington. There's a lot of positive vibes. I don't know. I heard something about football or something. Maybe they better have Kirk. If I'm Sean Stan, real simple. Get Cignetti out there. Throw out the first pitch. I think you'll go. Things tend to go well when he's around. Just
yes.
He's
a winner. Google him.
Yes. Maybe as so many people bring up, maybe Fernando Mendoza can pitch for Indiana. I don't think we can go that route there, but so I think those are a couple interesting stories. Which one of those two is interesting to you from the Big Ten there? Because I think Indiana, we always kind of, I don't know. They've quietly, Sean Stan has made them an NCAA tournament program consistently. Interestingly, Indiana opens opening night in Boca against FAU. You know who's one of the GAs, Vic, on FAU staff?
That's right.
Oh,
Taylor Minnick.
Yeah, that's
former
right.
Hoosier, the greatest Hoosier of all time. Oh.
So I think the thing that's interesting to me, by the way, I believe it's Friday night in Boca Raton, Indiana plays Ohio State in a non-con. So all these Big Ten teams.
Don't ever change Big Ten. The Big Ten
is so big that Nebraska's playing Washington twice and Indiana's playing Ohio State opening weekend. Just anyway, throwing it out there.
That makes a lot of sense. Because that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, Scott Van Pelle of Sport ESPN commentator.
I want to get my Washington shout out there in a minute, but to your point about Michigan or Indiana, I like the fact that Indiana added pitching depth because similar to what I said earlier on a different plane, but similar to what I said about Oklahoma directly answering what their shortcomings were last year, Indiana did that. Like the pitching was a problem. They got to the tournament on the back of their offense. They knew they were graduating some key pieces of that offense. So they went out and got 3 pitchers. None of them were All-Americans. Don't get me wrong. None of them are All-Americans. But they got 3 pitchers who could all end up being worth something. I've seen Megan Gregory, the Campbell kid, pitch. I think she's solid. Brooke Mannon was a solid recruiter kid. She ended up at Arizona, but there was a lot of schools in the Midwest that want her. She's a Midwest kid. And then Trout, the Georgia kid. So, like, Indiana went out and got 3 pitchers that can all do something. They all 3 have promise. They went out and addressed their one major need going into the offseason. So I think Indiana's got a shot at still being solid. Like, I think a lot of people are going to write them off in the Big Ten because they're not necessarily on that top tier because they did graduate studs like Copeland and Minnick. I think Indiana's got a shot at being good. Michigan's going to be still solid. They're going to be consistent. I mean, Ellis, the kid from Mercer that transferred up, like, she's going to help him in the pitching department. I do agree that pitching is going to be the biggest concern for Michigan. But I like Indiana, to be honest. I think Indiana's probably my Big Ten sleeper. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I think they're probably my sleeper to contend in the top tier. And then if you want me to throw my Washington out now without you having to hit me with a question, I'll be glad to do so. I think Washington, for me, is the sleeper to potentially win the Big Ten. I think they're that good. I think, well, and then, yeah, that comment kind of says it too. Like, I don't think we give Heather Tarr enough credit for what they did last year. Like, that was a team that on paper, should have been down and out. Like, that was a Washington team that should not have been anywhere close to NCAA tournament with what they had to do in the offseason in terms of rebuilding the roster. And all they did was they had a solid pitching staff, a decent offense, won 30, 35 games, go back to the NCAA tournament. I think Washington's my sleeper to have a shot at winning the Big Ten. Like, I'm that high on Washington this year. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm still very much on the Oregon bandwagon.
But I think there's cold temperatures, but it's just getting heat up there with some hot takes here from Justin.
Yeah, I like Washington a lot, and I think Washington. Wow. I mean, I think again, week 1 is going to be key, and I know it's week 1, and I know everybody's traveling and whatever else, but like, I think what Washington does against Nebraska and Texas, like even if they lose 4 games against Nebraska and Texas. Now, maybe not if they lose 4 games, but if they lose 3 games, for instance, like, I still think there can be some things that we learn about Washington there. And I think Washington, I'm telling you, it's my sleeper pick. I think they're a really good squad. They've got a lot of returners from that team last year that really did punch above their weight. I think they could be really good.
I do agree with you, Washington.
Yes.
Heather Tarr, I spoke to, likes this group. Alexis DeBoer, I mentioned it with Jenna, was on. Breakout star. Might have a better year than her father did this past year. But Glabs, good catcher. Thank you. Yes, I had to. It's true. I'm just saying. A thing we haven't brought up in any of this, UCLA, which is kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
They arguably have 2 of the best hitters in the sport, Grant and Woolery. Where are we on UCLA here?
Love the offense. I really don't know what to make of the pitching. Outside of Taylor Tinsley, I'm not high on UCLA's pitching. I'll just say that flat out. Like, I saw Brendan Alley as a freshman at Long Beach last year. I've seen Sydney Summerdike. Natalie Cable, the freshman, to me is probably the next best arm behind Tinsley, but she's also a freshman. I really like Tinsley. I think Tinsley's really solid. I don't know what to make of the rest of the pitching staff. That offense will win UCLA a lot of games. Grant, Woolery, Alina Garcia back, Slimp, go down the list. That offense will win them a lot of games. I think the pitching staff behind Tinsley has the potential to lose them a couple of games, though. Like, the sky's not falling, don't get me wrong. That's still a good UCLA team, and the offense is the biggest piece. And Tinsley's the leader of that. And I think Tinsley can put a lot of innings on her arm. Like, that's an important piece, too. Outside of Tinsley, I have significant questions about the pitching staff.
It's almost just like a similar situation for UCLA, like Nebraska has with Jordy Fromm, where is what the pitching staff does when Tinsley doesn't pitch that could dictate how far the Bruins go this year.
Yeah, I mean, you could draw that comparison. Like, it's I think the potential's there, similar to Nebraska. But yeah, like, I'm gonna have to see a little proof in the pudding behind Tinsley to really begin to have faith in the rest of that pitching staff.
Quick word on Northwestern, since we're getting questions from our audience. Northwestern, kind of young this year with Coach Strohan, right?
Young in some ways, but they do have young in the circle. The offense is veteran, though. I think the thing there is, like, that Northwestern team made the tournament last year, but for so much of the year, they were kind of so-so at best, piddling even at times.
The UCLA series got them in.
that finished the deal. They were close. There was a case whether it was going to win or lose before the UCLA result, and then after it, maybe different answers. But they had a case, but that UCLA series got them in. And I don't think that's a secret. I don't think anybody shies away from that. Like, you won the games you had to, which is what you do to get into the postseason. That's how it works. But the young in the circle's going to be their biggest issue too. Like, Grzelczyk's solid. I don't know that she's an ace. And if she is an ace, she's going to have to work into that role. Like, she's going to have to embrace that role and thrive in it. I mean, you can't do that until you're between the lines.
All right. Let's, of course, Justin and I, on Monday's podcast, folks, Extravaganza, the 6th year we've done this, we break down all 31 conferences. Me and someone named Amanda Scarborough will kick things off. We go Power 4 heavy in that conference, although Amanda's got a lot of mid-major chatter there, which I won't spoil, but she had some interesting thoughts there. And then Justin and I talk about the 26 mid-major conferences, in-depth breakdowns. And I mean in-depth breakdown, people. That's all I got to say. Check that out on our podcast feed. But let's get a small tease here, Justin. The tradition question I always ask, but I'm updating the question. We used to say, who is this year's JMU? Who's it? I'm updating it to Liberty because Liberty was the team that made the noise last year, beat Texas A&M, got to the Super Regional. So it's salute to Liberty. Justin, who is this year's Liberty? A team in a mid-major that can make a noise, can get to a Super Regional, maybe flirt with the idea of Oklahoma City.
Well, I can't just give you one, but I'm actually going to beat my own record. I'm going to give you more than two, but we'll go quickly. We probably didn't go this quickly on the
spoiler. We didn't go that quickly, did we?
They did not.
But I will go quickly because I can tell you. So the kicker is, I think there are legitimately 6 mid-major teams that if you told me made a Super Regional, I'd be like, okay, got it, makes sense. And I'll give you quick reasons on each one why. FAU, top of that list for me. That is a veteran FAU team that's been solid. They have a lot of talent, a lot of seniors, good youngsters, and they schedule some tests. Like, they're playing in Clearwater, for God's sakes. So they're going to be tested. They're not going to get there just on the back of 40 wins against a really bad conference. That's a good conference. So FAU on that list. Liberty, because they're Liberty and because Dot Richardson's the coach. Let's just be honest. I have significant questions about Liberty. How do you replace your ace? How do you replace your All-American? But it's Liberty and it's Dot Richardson. They could start 0-9 and then make a super. So it's Liberty. Grand Canyon, I mean, they lost some pieces, but that's a team that returns a good chunk of their talent. And that's a veteran team. Like, Savannah Kirk's out there. She's an upperclassman now. They've still got the pitching with Taryn Batterton and Maggie Place. I like Grand Canyon. I don't love their non-conference schedule, but they are in the Mountain West now. So you're going to play Nevada and you're going to play San Diego State and Boise and Fresno. You're going to play some teams in conference that are real tests, whereas in the WAC, that wasn't as much of a thing. So those are the 3 obvious ones. Those were the big 3 mid-majors last year. I think they're going to be going into this year. I'm going to say Omaha. I actually think somebody mentioned the Summit League earlier. That's my pick to win the Summit League, actually win the regular season this year. First time in 4 years, even as good as
there you go, Blairow. There you go. Yeah. Yes.
I couldn't remember who. I didn't pay attention to who said it, but I did notice over there that somebody said the Summit League. So Omaha, I Groff. It's Groff. It's Groff. Now, I do think they've got the offense. They only lost 2 starters. Again, veteran, and they know how to win when the chips are down. Like, I think the thing for me about Omaha is they only, in 3 years, as much of a postseason NCAA tournament juggernaut as they've been. Remember, they were in a regional final through the winner's bracket at an SEC school as a 4 seed. So as good as they've been in the postseason, they did not win the regular season for the first 2 years, and then they shared it last year. They do not have sole possession of a regular season Summit League title in these 3 years as good as they've been in the postseason. So Omaha, I could see them making a super. You got Groff to front line, and then you've got a veteran offense that knows how to win when the chips are down. Coastal Carolina has a hugely strong schedule. They play this, that, and the other of SEC, and they have been 3-game series against Florida State, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to be battle tested. And the Sun Belt is wacky. So if you're battle tested against big and good teams, and then you survive the gauntlet that is the Sun Belt, you get to a regional, who knows? Like, whatever that looks like, if you get there, who knows? So Coastal Carolina is my 5. And then I also like Texas State. Veteran team. I have a few more questions about Texas State. Can an Azua and a Stroud hold up as the 1-2 punch that deep into the postseason? Can they do so against major opponents? But again, as you've heard the theme through these 6 teams, veterans, old players, been there, seen the postseason, etc. Maybe even lost a game or two. Like, so much of that team was so close last year, made that run to the regular season in the final week, and then lost in the tournament. So I think those are the 6 mid-majors that if you said, okay, this is what it is, I'd be like, okay, got it. Understood.
Boy, everybody's on the FAU bandwagon, Victor. Jana likes FAU. Amanda Scarborough, spoiler, likes FAU. Just saying. Going to paradise, baby. People like paradise.
Scares me. Especially in the American Conference, where you got a lot of talent and teams are going to be jockeying for position, trying to knock FAU off.
I'm going to tell you that team, FAU's won 2 conference championships in a row. They've made the NCAA tournament twice. They've never entered a year with this level of expectation.
That's the thing.
I think they have the talent to meet the expectation. Don't get me wrong, but that target on your back can weigh heavy sometimes.
Much different. Much different.
One of the reasons, though, people like FAU is Amanda Scarborough told me Autumn Courtney. She likes Autumn Courtney. Autumn Courtney, Justin, we talked about on this show, Pickens, Nija, Jordy. That's the big 3 in the power conference level, right? The division, there's going to be a lot of headlines. Is the mid-major have their own big 3 version with Autumn Courtney being one of them?
I think there's a case to be made for that, yeah. I mean, you're talking about Maya Johnson at Belmont, Autumn Courtney at FAU, and Maddie Agroff at Omaha. I mean, they're the 3 best. To me, they're the 3 best players outside the Power 4 this year, going into the year. They are certainly the 3 best pitchers outside the Power 4 going into this year. Maya Johnson would not have been there entering last year, but then you look at how good she was and how steady she was, a couple of the wins she pulled off, like she belongs there. Autumn Courtney, I know very few people knew who she was at Queens before she got to FAU, before she went to the transfer portal. Yeah,
I did.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, the 3 of us sitting here knew who Autumn Courtney was and how many strikeouts she was racking up, but she was at Queens. She was at an ASUN school, just moved up from D2, and wasn't winning a lot of games. So Autumn Courtney's been good. She just happens to now be on a very good team where she gets the attention, where people pay attention. And then Amadia Groff, where same thing. Like, she's at 2 schools now. People did pay attention to her at SIU. They're paying attention to her at Omaha, but she's had success in the postseason. She's had success in the regular season, and she's doing a great job of frontlining now her second program to the point of I mean, what I was just talking about with Omaha. Like, Groff was only there last year, but she's doing exactly the same thing. Like, remember when she was at SIU, they made a regional final 2 years ago. So Groff has done on her own at 2 different schools exactly what I just described Omaha doing as a program for the last 3 years.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the mid-majors really might have their own big 3 going into this year, and I think all 3 of them have earned their spot on that medal stand.
Certainly, Casey Ricard of Boston has an argument with her career at Boston as she starts this year. By the way, when is my bracketology comes out? When, Justin?
Tuesday.
I think we're gonna bring up the 32 seeds this year. Will that help?
You're the bracketologist.
Yes,
the only bracketologist who went 64 out of 64 last year. That's correct. By the way,
thank you very much. This guy. My only question, I don't think I threw this in there though. Is the 32 seeds going to help Boston from busing to Norman?
What's bad is the answer to that is no.
No, they will not.
Like, from a 4-seed perspective, it's not going to change anything.
It's what? No, the reason I joke about it, but if Boston would just get sent somewhere else, outside the state, and I mean the state of Oklahoma,
avoid the state of Oklahoma. Period.
To be fair, my conspiracy theory, and it is a conspiracy theory,
sure,
is I really wonder if that was just a slip up. And don't get me wrong, you can't slip up at that point. Don't get me wrong. But my conspiracy theory is I wonder if somebody just missed the continuity. I really wonder, because that's an odd thing to do.
Not going to make Ashley feel Do you remember Ashley's appearance on the live show on the selection night? Do you remember, Justin? No, you don't. You were busy talking to the
That's
committee.
a long time ago, too.
How can we forget?
Victor and I don't forget. We talked to
Let me
her.
do it this way. Coach Waters, let's just say she was happy she got in the tournament. She was not happy where she got sent to the tournament again. Justin, I got a conspiracy theory. I think the committee was so tired of us talking about Boston's win against Oklahoma that they wanted to send Ashley Waters to Norman or Stillwater ever since.
My goodness. I mean,
Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't know if Nebraska gets busted that often, but anyway, I'll see Coach Waters this weekend when they're in Orlando.
By the way, I do want to bring up, I think Belmont has a good opportunity because Johnson has some depth behind her in the circle.
They do. Laura Matthews has some depth. Yeah.
I'm just saying, Belmont and remember, Southeast Louisiana with Coach Fremmel, they made it to a region. They were the one that eliminated LSU and Baton Rouge last year and played in the regional final. So,
well, remember, okay, so I know we talked about this on the mid-major, so I'm not going to go deep into it, but remember, Southeastern, outside of some certain events in the Southland Conference tournament, would not have even been in the NCAA tournament. So you can't say, even with what Southeastern did, and I'm not taking anything away from them because they were freaking good in the postseason the last 2 years. You got to talk about the top two of the Southland because McNeese is right there with them in terms of the showing. McNeese won the regular season in the Southland last year, hosted that championship 3-game series. So as good as Southeastern we project them to be, they didn't even win the regular season last year. So you got to throw McNeese in there to combine the two. Top tier of the Southland.
I agree. I remember McNeese was just 3 outs away from advancing a couple of years ago and going to the World Series in Washington for that miraculous comeback.
All right. For more on the mid-majors, Monday's podcast, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, Justin and I, we go a little while. We literally discuss all 26 conferences. Literally every 26 mid-major conferences. Amanda Scarborough, or is it 27? I don't know how many. There's a lot of conferences.
Aaron did a lot of talking. Math was not his strong suit right now.
Amanda Scarborough, we did Power 4, 27. Thank you. I don't know why I keep saying 20. I'm lost for words. So that's her big major.
Number 26 and he won the Royal Rumble. You got that correct on the show on Thursday.
I did nail that correctly. Thank you. And then we'll have the full video of me and Justin, the unedited version. It's like a director's cut.
That's the Snyder cut version.
Will be on our YouTube channel as well as Amanda Scarborough on that deal. All right, let's get into a prediction time, folks. Let's start with some conference picks, okay? Speed drill. All right, we don't want to take too much time, and then we'll make our World Series Player of the Year picks here. I want to start. Let's kind of cap off the Big Ten since that was the last power conference we talked about. Give me your Big Ten Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year first. Is it going to be the same player like last year? Which, other words, was last year was Jordy Ball. This year, technically, we know it won't be Jordy Ball. Could be Jordy Fromm though.
He's not wrong.
I'm not. I'm
He's not wrong.
Look at the record books. That's what it says.
Every time you say Ball and Jordy Fromm in the same sentence, that needs to go in the jar too.
Jar. Yep. So actually, he did that twice.
Yes.
Put him in
actually, you did that too.
Correct. I did. I completely own that.
Okay, so you want your tab by Thursday.
You want
Big Ten pitcher
player?
Yeah. Will it be the same player?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna go Jordy for pitcher, and I'm gonna go Alexis DeBoer for player.
Vic, will Jordy win both, or you got two different players winning those awards?
I agree with Justin on both. Don't say it, please disagree.
I just told Jenna that Alexis DeBoer's my breakout player. Of course I'm going to agree. Oh, bro.
We're off to a flying start.
We're off to a roaring start.
I blame the weather for this. The cold weather. All right. Who wins the Big Ten?
Oregon.
I'll say Nebraska.
I'll go Oregon. Go with Oregon. All right. Next, ACC. Might be the most wide open power conference. Jen and I, we talked about in depth there. Let's start. Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, ACC.
That's tough. I'm actually going to go. I'm gonna pull a little bit of a wild card on you in at least one of these. I'm gonna go Macy Cintron with Player of the Year at Clemson, and I think I'm gonna go Franchik at Florida State for pitcher. So Cintron for player, Franchik for pitcher.
Cassidy Kerr, pitcher of the year. Issa Torres, player of the year.
It's pretty good. I like Franchik for pitcher of the year. I kind of like Jess Oakland. I know she sat out, but I'm going to go bold here.
Yeah.
She was the Big Ten player of the year last time we saw her on the field. She's going to be part of this Duke offense.
She's good, too. She's a hell of a hitter.
Good pick. Good pick.
ACC champion.
Florida State.
Clemson.
I'm going to go Duke. If Cassidy Kerr pitches to what she did a couple years ago and pitched at Nutter, I like that offense. I really do. I think they're kind of, look, you can make a case for 5-6 teams in that ACC.
Yeah.
Stanford, we haven't even brought up. With
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. Pete Moore. Might be, do you agree, Justin, the most wide open of the power conferences?
Yeah, I think so. No. I'm going to take that back. Them are the Big Ten. I think they're pretty similar with the top tier that's wide open amongst the top tier.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's going to be interesting. ACC deal there. Let's go Big 12. Let's go Big 12 because I know there were some questions in the chat about the Big 12 non-Texas Tech questions. But let's start Big 12. I have a feeling I think I know who are you going with pitcher of the year?
Kenzie Brown.
Whoa!
Ooh, to win it, Big 12 pitcher of the year.
I mean, if Caitlin Terry does her job, yeah. Like Caitlin Terry and Sam Lincoln are supposed to spell Nyjah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is Nyjah the best pitcher in the Big 12? Yeah. Doesn't mean she's going to win Big 12 pitcher of the year.
Woo-hoo, Vic. You want to respond?
Justin has a point.
Don't
Justin
pick her.
point.
Don't do it.
No, I'm taking Nyjah.
Okay.
Justin has a point. Justin has a point because if they were brought to Texas Tech to give Nyjah rest, so that should be a true three-headed monster. But I still think Nyjah is the best pitcher in the world, and she will win.
And to be clear, Nyjah is the best pitcher in the Big 12. But you asked me who I think is going to win Big 12 pitcher of the year.
I did.
So who you pick?
Well, I'm not going against my friend Jenna Becerra's friend. Nyjah, we're not going against our friends. We're loyal to our friends, Victor.
Eric, you should get a separate jar for every time you mention Nyjah being your friend.
I mean, I'm just saying, who's talked to her over the last 2 years?
I know.
Right here, out in the circle, D1 softball pick. Yeah, I'm going to go Nyjah. I'm going to go Nyjah. Kenzie Brown's a good pick. Look, I'm actually excited about the Big 12 pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
With Ruby, we haven't mentioned Ruby at Oklahoma State. I agree with you about Kenzie Brown. I think she's right in the mix there. You got Isabella Vega back at UCF on that staff as well. BYU's got a senior in Korth as well. I do like the Big 12 arms that they have here and has a chance to perhaps be the second best conference in the sport.
Don't forget Adams, the transfer at Arizona. Too.
Yeah, good one. Arizona. Coming from Iowa, but Vic knows covered her.
Yes.
All right, so we're Nyjah 2-1 with Kenzie. There's the vote. Who's the player of the year?
I'm going to go Maya Davis. I mean, Texas Tech, as good as they should be, it's going to come from there. I like Davis.
I want to go Bellingham from BYU.
You had to go with the other Elo, didn't you? One Elo to another. Yes. I got
Elo. You are going to do it?
No, I am going to do it. She's my pick for player of the year.
Oh,
she's really good. And how can I go against an Elo? I mean, come on. Elo to Elo. Like, that was the greatest thing I found out from Goranika when he told me that she's goes to by Elo. I'm like, really?
Oh, boy.
Nickname. What a great nickname. Love it.
I don't like the fact that I'm agreeing with Eric a lot, Justin. I don't like this.
I'm good with this one. I'm the outlier on this one. You two are right.
I like it. Yeah, and we're keeping track, folks. Trust me, we're keeping track.
Yes.
SEC player and pitcher of the year. Does Pickens three-peat as SEC pitcher of the year?
That one's tough. That one's tough. I'm going to say yes. I am not super confident in it. I do think she's the best pitcher in the SEC. The problem becomes if Tennessee slips a little bit. I think probably that gets taken out on her, to coin a phrase. But I mean, she's the best pitcher, so I'm gonna pick her in this case.
Vic?
This may be a real dark horse pick, but if she does what she can do when she was pitching back at LSU, I think she's gonna be the reason why OU gets back to where they get back to. I'm going Cindy Berzon.
Can't go wrong with somebody coached by Jen Rocha for sure.
By the way, we all picking Texas Tech. We're not skipping a question because you don't ask us questions that you already know the answer to. We're all picking Texas Tech.
It's true. Yeah,
That's correct. Yes.
I figured. I didn't know that. I didn't even bring it up, but thank you for clearing that up. I think Kavan can win it, but I'm going to stick with Pickens. 3. Who's your SEC champ?
Wait, are we picking player of the year?
Yeah, go ahead. We can do that first. That's fair.
I'll go Reese Atwood.
We got
Taylor Shoemaker.
Jocelyn Erickson.
Truth
Thank
be
you
told,
all the OU fans cleaving this and saying, see, they don't believe in the Sooners. See?
Well, wait till this one. SEC champion.
Would you like to go first then?
Yeah, I'm going to go bold here. No, I want you guys to go first.
oh God, I'm gonna say OU.
What a boy, Justin.
I mean, I'm completely out on a totally thin, ice-covered limb saying OU to win a championship. But I actually do think they're the most complete team in the SEC. If Berzon and Wuchenya are what they're supposed to be.
Vic?
I'll go Texas.
Keep in mind, just because you win the conference doesn't mean you win the national title. Okay? Got it? For various reasons, imbalanced schedules. Because of this schedule.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great to be a Florida Gator. Why? You know what Florida people forget this. Florida had the toughest SEC schedule last year when people were all about Florida. You look at their schedule this year, and you see, Vic, you brought this up when we did the episode with Tim Walton and Shoemaker. They do not have Oklahoma on the schedule. They do not have Texas on the schedule. They do not have A&M on the schedule. They have for an SEC a favorable schedule compared to what, like, for example, Texas has got to go to Alabama. Texas has to play Arkansas. Texas has Oklahoma. Oklahoma has got Arkansas. It's a tough. I'm going to just go schedule, and that's Tim in Florida. I think a manageable schedule. If Rothrock's got to be healthy, I like still that offense. I'm going to go Florida. Real out of left field. I get it. It's out of left field. But I'm going.
It's fair though. It's fair though. You're right about the schedule.
It's all because of the schedule imbalance. Doesn't mean I think they're going to win the national title, but I think again that's something to keep in mind more and more as these conferences with realignment. I'm just going to go bold here. One of us had to go bold at some point.
No, that's a good pick. Honestly, I thought about them when I was thinking about this earlier because of the schedule. I didn't go with them, but you're right about the schedule. That's a good pick.
Listen, Tristan, we're on the same wavelength. Shoemaker, Erickson. Great combo. And that's the thing, too. Parker and Pickering at Oklahoma. You got we got a lot of great combos in the SEC there. All right. National Player of the Year is who?
Don't everybody talk at once. I mean, it's tough because the big three are the big three, right? Can we pick one and then pick somebody who's not the big three? Can we separate like that to give a little extra? Oh, darn.
Wait, what happened? What was your question? What request did you have?
Well, I'm going to do it anyway, so don't worry about the request. I'm going to say Jordy for National Player of the Year, but Taylor Shoemaker is my player outside the big three that I think maybe top 3 finalists.
Pretty good. Oh, you wanted like Jenna, split the award. I get it. Vic, this is your big push.
Well, the award should be split. I will save. We have plenty of time on In the Circle to share my thoughts about how the award should be split. But for the purposes of time, I will say National Player of the Year. I'll go with Reese Atwood. My friend, our first ever guest when we joined D1 softball, Reese Atwood.
She always, hopefully we'll get her soon. I think Ella Parker's a sleeper. If you're looking for a quote unquote sleeper, if there's such a thing as a Sooner.
I did think about Ella Parker. I thought about Ella Parker for a brief moment, and I'm like, I think her and Pickering might,
But I'm going with Jordy. I mean, if she could put up those offensive numbers with what she does in the circle and leads Nebraska, let's say, to a Big Ten title, I'm going to go Jordy.
Fair.
I do love. I mean, Reese though, top 3. I could see if you put me a top 3, I could see Atwood being a top 3 player easily on there. All right, boys, the moment of truth, the moment where we get called out because we get picks wrong, ladies and gentlemen. World Series picks. Who wants to go first? Who's got their 8 ready?
And note the tagline. Next.
Oh, I will be wrong. I mean, although we had a batting average last year.
We didn't do too bad last year.
We had a batting average. Who wants to go first? Well, let me ask you. Let me start with this. Do we all have OU in the World Series?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we all have Texas in the World Series?
Yes.
Yep.
Do we all have Texas Tech in the World Series?
Yes.
Yep.
You said yes, Justin?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Hey, by the way,
just because I didn't get Nija to be Big 12 pitcher here.
Keeping track. We got people keeping track.
And I appreciate that. Very good. Good job, Vic. You're the winner. 6.
That's actually pretty good for all of us.
And you know what the funny thing is? The one team that I had I didn't have in the World Series was Texas Tech.
Yeah, fair.
I think we thought they were a year away. Maybe they still are.
Can you put up that comment just right below that one? Could you just one more down, one more? Yeah, that one. Thank you very much.
You see, our fans hold us accountable here. They grip on us when we get.
Wait, can y'all type? I appreciate. Can y'all type in who? Can y'all type in who we didn't have? I guess would be the.
Well, I know I didn't have Texas. I know I didn't have Texas Tech.
Good job by you two.
I have Baylor and
how long ago that was?
I have Baylor and Arkansas with my 2.
It was a year. All right, so you both won last year, 6-6. So how do we decide who goes first? Do you want me to go first, or you guys, one of you wants to go first?
Yeah, okay. So we agree. We all have Texas Tech. We all have Texas. We all have Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Do we all have Tennessee?
No.
Okay. In that case, Eric, you go first then, sir.
All right, fair enough. All right. We mentioned the 3 that we have. People are keeping track. So
good.
A year ago, I do remember this. I had Arkansas, if you all remember.
Mm-hmm. I went too.
And I would argue. I should have been wrong. No, I should have been right. I should have been right.
Well, we should have been.
I was right. Some decisions were made by young people and food.
And y'all challenging Binford still.
Listen, there's a reason why I don't go out to eat when I travel, because I just need to be healthy. Vic gives me a hard time about this. Vic's the party guy. He goes everywhere.
Not anymore.
Not in your prime. We'll go with your prime.
Thank you.
I feel like everybody's learned their lesson, folks. Whoa, Pig Suey. Arkansas breaks through. I got the Razorbacks getting in.
Okay.
This time.
That's 4.
Folks, order in. Order in. Like, Victor has no idea what I'm talking about. It's great. If Justin does, though, it's just, this is the humor. But I got Arkansas. I got Arkansas as my 4th. I'm nervous about this because I thought this would be a sleeper pick, but everybody likes this team a lot, and that makes me nervous, but I got to stick with it. I'm going to Oregon. Quack, quack. Missy Lombardi. Going with the Ducks out of the Big Ten. That's my number 5. Number 5 team in the list that I have. Tim Walton, Florida. They don't have a lot of players on the roster, but you know what they do? They have a lot of trips to Oklahoma City in their resume. They always find a way. They know the track. They know how to get there, and they're going to find a way to get there again. Florida, back in the saddle in the World Series. That's 6, Vic, right? I got 6.
That's 6.
I'm like Jenna now. This is where it gets.
This is where the fun begins. And Eric said we were supposed to be done by a certain point in time, and
we're almost at the clock I wanted to. We're almost at the clock. I mean, this has been a fun show. So that's 6. So I've got free cap here breaking down. I do think Kenny Gajewski learned something from last year. He's not giving any props to his team this year. Not proclaiming him the most talented team. They took a year off, but they're going back to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma State's my 7th team. My 7th team.
Okay.
And then my 8th and final team. Really could go a lot of different directions here. But you know what? Roll Tide, boys! To Alabama! Unlike, Crimson Tide, season 30, Patrick Murphy finds a way with speed, will steal his way with his speed into Oklahoma City. Going with Alabama.
I was not expecting that one.
Neither was I. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's what I'm going with. That's it.
I guess we lost Vic.
I needed a timeout because I'm like, wait, he said who?
Alabama, Roll Tide. Listen, talk to Patrick Murphy. They've got the speed, more depth pitching wise. Moten. Listen, they've had lesser teams get to Oklahoma City than this roster.
Fair.
Am I right? And remember, last year they ran into a buzzsaw in the Super Regional in Norman.
They did.
So if they can avoid that, which who knows, maybe they will. I'm gonna go Alabama. Like we're gonna be like, I can't believe they did it again. Sometimes, folks, I'm a history major. I learn from history, and I learn not to repeat itself. At some point, you just concede. Bama, Patrick Murphy, Alabama finds a way.
Which is interesting because you picked 2 teams that you missed last year on your World Series picks, and you're picking them again. Thank you, OU fan forever, for keeping track.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, stubborn. I thought about Oak State. That was tough. It was between them and LSU.
All right, Justin, your turn.
But go ahead.
Oh, I'm next.
Yes, you are.
All right, so the prerequisite. I'm sorry, the comment section's killing me. The prerequisite top 3. OU, Texas Tech. Those are the unanimous 3. I'm also going Florida. I am actually going Tennessee. I'm going Oregon. I am going Florida State. Those are my 4 that outside the top 3 are okay. Feel pretty good about.
Mm-hmm.
My last spot, I've really tossed around 3 primary ones. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna say Jordy gets Nebraska there. Yeah, I'm gonna go Nebraska.
Okay. All right. Of course, we've confirmed the requisite big 3. I too will go with Florida. I will go with. I'm gonna. You know what? After the way last season ended for them, there's precedence here, gentlemen, where a number 1 overall seed gets bounced early. The next year, they make it back and win it all. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I got Texas A&M redeeming themselves.
The
and making
Aggies
it to Oklahoma City. We haven't talked a lot about Trisha Ford and this Aggie team, and I think they kind of like that. They're going to use what happened with them in College Station last year as fuel, and they get to Oklahoma City this year. So that's 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's bold, by the way. That's by far the boldest one of all our picks to this point
so far.
Well, I think I may top it because I'm going from a team who didn't even get to Super Regionals to a team who one of us has mentioned was 60 feet away from being to Oklahoma City last year. I think they get the job done this year, and I got John Rittman and Clemson going back to Oklahoma City.
Feel like you've been on that Clemson deal there for a minute. Wasn't there one year where there was one year where you two were on either agreed on Clemson or disagreed on Clemson? I don't remember.
I think we agreed. I think we disagreed on Clemson.
Yeah, there was a big infamous disagreement on Clemson.
That's a sneaky good pick, though. Like,
yes, I agree with that.
I have Oregon as my 7th, and I'll go Florida State. Florida State. So that's my 8.
Very good. Is there a team you didn't pick that you might regret? That you're like, like for me, Florida State. I didn't pick Florida State. I could see myself regretting that.
I mean, here's the thing. There was a team that none of us said that likes playing in the World Series a lot. It's that little team called UCLA. I'm just saying.
No,
it's fair. It's fair.
Look, I know UCLA only had 2 arms mainly last year. They somehow found a way, but we'll see. We'll see.
There's a world where they do. Like, none of us picked them, but I mean, it's not like they're down and out. It's just there's more question marks than I'm used to seeing around a UCLA team, to be fair.
Fair.
No, that's a good. You're right, though. That's definitely a snub pick, no doubt. It's wild. That's it,
gentlemen.
That's it. Is that our picks? Wow.
Yep. Our picks are locked in. They are in the spreadsheet.
Can't change them. No.
And the pivot, the Excel spreadsheet has been locked, and they will save them for prosperity when we go on live in June. And we will be reminded of what we got right and what we surely got. Again, World Series predictions. Sure to go wrong.
Champ Series. All right, who wins it? Champ Series, national champs. Justin kind of gave away his pick. You're going OU, Texas, Justin?
Sure am.
Who's winning it?
Oklahoma.
Vic?
I got a rematch of last year, Texas Tech. And unlike the football team, rank them. Texas Tech takes home the title.
It's 2026. It's an even year, right? Victor, is that an even year?
It is an even year, yes.
Who played for the national championship the last time we had an even year World Series? 2024.
That will be Florida. That will be Texas and Oklahoma.
Correct.
Yeah.
Before the last even year before
2022.
Who played in the national championship series?
Texas and Oklahoma.
What year is this again?
2026.
Even year?
Yes.
Can't go against history. I got Texas, Oklahoma. I'm with Justin. Oh, except hook 'em, baby. Woo! Texas beats OU. Reese Atwood, Tegan Cavan. They now know how to beat OU.
Wow. So
I like this.
Texas getting back to the Champ Series.
Yeah.
Eric has them beating OU to go back to back. Justin has OU beating Texas for the 3rd straight Champ Series, and I have Texas Tech getting payback on the Longhorns.
Which probably means none of those 3 are going to make Oklahoma City, right? And that usually how it works.
If that happens, we got massive stories there.
Correct.
If that happens,
correct.
If that happens,
then we got a story. Let me ask you all this: who's the team? Because clearly, in whatever order, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech are the 3 favorites to win the national title.
Yes.
If none of those 3 do not win the national title, or if 2 of the 3, for example, doesn't make the Champ Series, give me the team that you think could make it or win the national title and surprise. Because I think whoever is the 4th team, whoever that is right now, would be kind of odds-making wise a little longer.
I mean, if they get there, I think it's Tennessee. I don't necessarily think Tennessee's got the 4th best team behind those 3.
Sure.
But you have a frontliner who, let's be honest, and don't get me wrong, I know there's OU fans in the comments, like it's not hating, but like Tennessee had that game won until she hit that home run last year. Like Pickens pitched well. Yeah. So like if you get to a point where it's not one of those three, it's because Pickens is your chief.
It all goes back to if Pickens can get support behind her in the circle. That's all goes back to what you talk about, Justin. For me, I think a team that nobody said to even get to Oklahoma City that certainly has talent, and every few years they pop up and they make it to Oklahoma City out of nowhere. Georgia.
That's your sleeper?
Ooh.
Sleeper team. All right.
Yep.
All right. There's a lot of some questions for Justin here above in the chat before we sign up. Justin, you're a popular guy.
We have
Let's see. I saw a few up there. I saw somebody said freshman pitcher of the year, freshman player of the year. Freshman player of the year, Kendall Wells from Oklahoma. Elsa Morrison from Tennessee is my backup, is my number 2 on that one. Freshman pitcher of the year, I'm going to say Timmerman at Arkansas. I like Timmerman at Arkansas, and I mean, their pitching has been good. Like, Deifel's good at what she does. Barnum was good last year. So I'm going to go Timmerman at Arkansas, freshman pitcher of the year. I saw another one that said favorite traditions. I'm going to give you my least favorite tradition first, which is when people during a rain delay play songs like Bring on the Rain. Drives me up the wall.
Not a Milli Vanilli fan?
Not a Bring on the Rain fan when we're trying to get the rain gone, to be honest.
What if they brought, would you prefer Prince, Purple Rain?
I can handle Purple Rain. I can handle Purple Rain.
Purple
and like
Rain.
I can handle Meet Me in the Middle during circle meetings. I can handle, Put Me in Center Field, whatever that song is. Like I can handle all the prerequisites. I just don't like Bring on the Rain when we're trying to get out of a rain delay.
No.
Favorite tradition? That's tougher. I'm gonna say, I kind of just like the general when they do different things going through the handshake line where everybody's got their own custom handshake. So I'll say that one. If I missed other questions, I don't know what they were. I'm sorry, but I saw those two and I enjoyed them. So
I think people are asking about, do you think Oklahoma State will bounce back this year?
I do think Oklahoma State will bounce back this year. Do I think they're World Series good? I think they could be. Riley Crandall's got to be a stud. Like she's got to be
gotta be. That's what I'm banking on. Yeah.
Yeah. If she is, like the offense is good enough. Ruby's good enough. And the Big 12's good enough. So yeah, I do think Oklahoma State will bounce back. Will they bounce back all the way to the World Series? Like they need some things to go right, but I could see it getting to that point. Yeah.
Certainly possible.
Let's see. Do we have other questions? Get your last questions here before we call it a day here. Don't worry, you're going to hear more Justin on Monday's pod. I mean, a lot.
Justin on Monday's pod.
Going to get a lot.
We got some fans, gentlemen, that gave their World Series picks. So OU fan forever. Texas, Texas Tech, OU, Florida State, Oregon, Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas.
That's fair.
That's a good bunch too. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the thing is, there's 12 teams that I think you pick any
Props to Justin, by the way. Justin was the only one of us that picked the Texas to win the national title.
He did.
Props to you, Justin.
Oh, I actually didn't remember that. So
that's why we have people remembering for you.
That's why we have fans who keep track of holders accountable. Let's see, Wamblero, Texas, Texas Tech, Oregon, OU, Arkansas, Florida, Nebraska, and Texas. So me and Wamblero are both saying A&M making it to the World Series after what happened last year.
So here's the thing about A&M. That there's so many question marks around that team right now. Like Maya Perez is the known commodity. Demento is moving to a new position. What pitching do they have? They graduated so many seniors. There's just so many question marks around A&M. Now, if they answer the questions, you could be a juggernaut. But there's just so many question marks.
Fair. Very valid point.
It's a lot of question marks. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Justin, tell the audience where they go. What can they expect this year on D1softball.com?
Oh, we're gonna have some fun. A little bit of everything. We've got the prerequisites. We'll have our weekly recaps and our daily dozens and things like that. What's funny, we've actually already got some good features that we're ready to roll starting this week into the first week of the season, so that's gonna be fun. we did all of our mid-major stuff last year. We're going to keep that going, the mid-major rankings. We got some notebooks and things like that.
You mean these mid-major rankings right here, Justin?
Those right there. Isn't that graphic nice too? Shout out to Riley for the graphic. It's
yes.
Good. No, we got a little bit of everything. We're gonna have some fun, and I'm pumped for what we got this week. We just finished preseason conference previews of all 31 conferences. I wish I had the number straight. It was 104 or 105 fall reports on different teams,
including every Power 4 school, including Syracuse. How was my old friend Shannon Dupking doing there? So it was good to see her talk.
I mean, Madison Knight's a solid little player up there. So, but
by
no,
the
we
way,
just finished preseason. A lot of fun stuff still coming.
And by the way, to access all of those fall reports and those conference outlook, go to d1softball.com. Use promo code season26. 25% off your subscription, which means you get access to all of those fall reports, the conference outlooks, and Eric Lopez's preseason bracketology, which will be coming out on Tuesday.
You'll find out why I don't have Nebraska on my World Series pick. Jordy's going to run into an old stomping grounds. That's a tease. That's what we call a tease, people, in the bracketology business. Or maybe in the sports business, media business. Justin, you're going to be in Florida. You're going to be joining us in Florida.
I need you guys to warm it up before I get there. That's all I ask.
Well, Justin, I am happy to report before we wrap things up, it will be a nice and comfortable 61 degrees on Thursday morning, warming up to 62 on Friday. And
we got snow on the ground for 11 days. We've had snow on the ground 11 days. I'll take 60. I'll wear a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops in 60.
I think we had some snow flurries somewhere in the state of Florida. I don't know. Justin, you know what? Justin can find out for us because he's going to be all over the state of Florida this first weekend and other weekends. We'll just leave it at that. I'll let him make those announcements on social media on that. This has been a blast of a show, everybody. Stanford, by the way, does have new facilities. Go back and listen to our when we had Jenna Becerra on. She broke it down because she is our facilities expert. That's our new title for her now on the show. Every time we have a new facility, we're just going to have her break it down, especially on the Bay Area when that has those take occur. But keep it here on this circle again. Monday's podcasts are traditional. All 31 conferences will be discussed on that podcast. The great Amanda Scarborough will join us for about an hour. We talk about her previews, her thoughts on the season preview, including her thoughts on the Aggies, which was interesting there. And then Justin will join me for breaking down every mid-major and I mean every mid-major conference.
Y'all just bring your caffeine. That's all I'm saying. Just bring your caffeine.
Take it on the car ride. It'll get you set. It's a good thesaurus to get you set for the season. We got, hopefully, I'm hoping to get Ryan Pocky later this week. We'll go in depth on OU Texas for all you Sooner fans. We're going to go deep dive with Rand Pocky, who spoke to Patty Gasso recently. So hoping to have that, working around her schedule on that. And then, like Justin said, we have a lot of great content at d1softball.com. We got Larissa Anderson coming out later this week. Missouri will be in the NFC. Vic, we've made it. The season's here, sir. Why don't you go ahead and sign us off?
So for Leah Nelson, for Jenna Becerra, for Justin McLeod, for Eric Lopez, I'm Victor Anderson. Stay bundled up, stay warm. This has been our In the Circle Live season preview extravaganza. Justin, of course, fueled by Dr. Pepper. Thank you very much, Mark, for reminding us of that great NIL deal for Mr. McLeod. Top podcasters out. Konnichiwa, Wamblero. Good night, Canada. We will talk to y'all tomorrow.